Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2020 edition of the Odyssey Awards show, the show to celebrate the best of the best in the film world in the year of 2020. My name is Nick, and I am your host for today's show. And joining me in presenting duties today, as you'll be able to see if you're watching this on YouTube, are Jake.
Hello.
Hello. Fiona.
Hello.
And last but by no means least, it's Sam. How are we all?
All good. Very excited.
Thumbs up from Fiona. Very excited. So this, as I said, that's right. This episode is going out as a normal podcast on your normal places where you're listening to your podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever. But this is also be going as a video version on YouTube. So if you go to our Twitter, JumpCast_, you'll find a link there. We'll post a link to this YouTube video there, and you can watch the show and see the beautiful faces of my three co-hosts. Less said about mine, the better. As well as all of our beautiful guests that will be joining us later in the show to present some awards. And that's people from the team within JumpCut, JumpCast, and then some friends as well from the Twitter world. Just a few T's and C's before we get actually proper into the award about what's eligible and stuff. For those who aren't aware and need reminding, of course, that to be eligible for an award, the film has to have had its public theatrical release either in theatres or on a streaming service in the year of 2020 in the UK. So that doesn't include film festival premieres. So that means stuff like Nomadland and stuff that aren't eligible because they haven't had their wide release here in the UK yet. But there might be a few surprises for you listeners and people watching of stuff that you thought might not have been eligible. They got released right at the beginning of the year in January, and so some stuff that was eligible for Oscars sort of in 2020 is also eligible here as well, so there might be some crossover there. And then, as with every episode of JumpCast, obviously this award show tonight, this very special show, is brought to you and sponsored by our wonderful patrons. And if you go over to jumpcutonline.co.uk, you'll find a link to our Patreon page there with a brand new tier, which you can subscribe to for as little as £1 or $1, depending on where in the world you live. If you go to jumpcutonline.co.uk, find a link to it there, and every penny or cent or whatever we get gets put straight back into the site and given to our writers. So the more money we can raise through there, the more pieces we can commission and the more writers we can give paid opportunities to. So everybody wins. There are a lot of perks available, obviously, for the subscription tiers. For all the tiers above the new £1 one, so £3 and above, you get a free copy of our digital magazine, which there are now 3 editions on there waiting for you to read through. If you'd be interested in that, and lots of other cool perks to go with that, including those who subscribe at the top tier of $10, I should say, get entitled to a shout out here on every episode of JumpCast. So Chris Wilson, Enon Films, Zoe Baines, Darryl Griffiths, Sam Luck, Orla Smith, Peter Hodgkins, Andy Meakin, Fabiana Rosas, Hamish Calvert, Martin Richmond, Manuel Bento, and Morton Yulkerin. Thank you for your continued support, and the same goes to everybody else who supports JumpCut Online in any way, whether that's just going onto the site, interacting with us on Twitter, or supporting us on Patreon. So those people who have signed up to £10, enjoy your front row seats at the front of the stage, and there's popcorn and drinks to be provided, of course. But yeah, that's all the T's and C's and the admin done. Any predictions, folks? I know a lot of you here know the results, most of the results, but is there anything you're hoping, really, really hoping is going to do well? Anything in particular? Jake, I'll come to you first.
I guess the films that we're kind of rooting for this year, 2 of the kind of lesser appreciated ones, I guess, were 40-Year-Old Version and Emma by Pablo Larraín.
EMA, not EMMA.
Yes. 40-Year-Old Version's got 2 nominations for this year, Breakthrough Director and Best Original Story, I believe. And Emma is in the foreign language film category as well. Mm-hmm. So they were my 2 kind of films that I was really kind of advocating to the rest of the team to watch and vote for as much as possible.
You texted me multiple times to tell me to watch them, and I missed the boat on Emma. It was on all 4, and I missed it. And then that
like 2 days.
I did, and now I have to pay for it, so I haven't got around to doing that yet. But one day I will do that.
Yeah.
Fiona, a new editor-in-chief from the year of 2020. What are you looking out for in this set of awards this year?
In terms of what's actually nominated, probably Portrait of a Lady on Fire is my favourite. Jessie Buckley is in the actress category, I believe. I'm thinking of
She is.
ending things. So I'm excited for her. But other than that, foreign language, to be fair, foreign language is a really strong category and I like all the films. So that's probably my favourite category, actually. But other than that, it's slim pickings for me, which you'll discover later as I get increasingly grumpy, I'm sure.
We look forward to it. It'll make for good viewing. And again, last by no means least, Sam, what are you looking out for here in this year's show?
I've deliberately not looked at the results or the clips to keep it a surprise.
Good.
I'm hoping there's some Tenet love, but I feel like I'm going to be disappointed. I don't know why. I feel like I'm going to be disappointed, but maybe some Tenet love, bit of 1917 as well, but we shall see.
I'm amazed none of you have said Uncut Gems, because I thought that was the JumpCut favourite.
I'm a big, well, I suppose, myself. Yeah. I'm like you, Fiona. Portrait was my favourite film of the year, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, so I'm hoping to see that well represented. I did like Uncut Gems. I think I said when we did the nomination show, it was probably that and Tenet were probably my most bizarre watching experience last year, because I watched Tenet for the first time and hated it, and then watched it the second time and liked it. And then with Uncut Gems, I watched the first 15 minutes and I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. And then I persevered with it, and it was really, really good. And Adam Sandler is up for an award. Could you ever imagine we'd say that 6 years ago, Jake, when we started doing these awards?
He's the last person I expected to see nominated for an award.
Yes, he is nominated later for Best Lead Actor in Uncut Gems, obviously, but we will see when we get there later in the show how he gets on. But enough waffling from us hosts, I think, to begin with. And without further ado, we'll start the show. Our first awards, in true award show fashion, are going to be the Best Supporting Actress and Best Supporting Actor categories. And to announce the winners of these awards, I'll hand over to Georgie, who is the senior editor at the Valkyrie site and a long-term friend and partner of JumpCut, and to announce Best Support Actress, and then to Daisy, who's part of the production teams at JumpCut Studios, to announce the winner of Best Supporting Actor. So over to you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Georgie Broad and I am the senior editor over at the Valkyries, and it is my pleasure and honour to be here today to present the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Support Actress 2020. Every actress and every performance in this category is incredible, so without further ado, let's get into the nominees. So, the nominees for the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Support Actress 2020 are Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit, Amanda Seyfried in Mank, Park So-dam in Parasite, Letitia Wright in Mangrove, and Cho Yep-jung for Parasite. And the winner of the 2020 JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Support Actress is Park So-dam for Parasite. Not just one of the best films of last year, but probably one of the best films of all of the recent years. I think we can all agree that Park So-dam absolutely deserves her spot in the JumpCut Online Odyssey Hall of Fame. Thanks again to JumpCut for having me on to present this award. You guys have been knocking it out of the park this year, so keep up the hard work, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey everyone, Daisy here from JumpCut Studios and the W Rated podcast. I have the honour of revealing the winner of Best Support Actor for JumpCut's 2020 Odyssey Awards. Super excited. So as a reminder, or for those who aren't aware, here are the 5 incredibly talented nominees. Chadwick Boseman for The Five Bloods, Willem Dafoe for The Lighthouse, Jamie Foxx for Just Mercy, Song Kang-ho for Parasite, and David Lewis for I'm Thinking of Ending Things. What a lineup, but there can only be one winner. And the winner is fake envelope. Song Kang-ho for Parasite. This is such a deserved win in my personal favourite film of 2020, largely thanks to the fantastic performances, with Song Kang-ho being such a highlight of those. Really hope to see more films like Parasite in the mainstream. And if you haven't seen it yet, let this be a sign to go and check out Song Kang-ho's incredible performance. Thank you.
Thanks, Georgie and Daisy, for presenting those supporting actor and actress categories. So we're back here with the four of us to dissect the first 2 awards for Parasite there. So Park So-dam won the award for Best Supporting Actress, and Song Kang-ho won the award for Best Supporting Actor, which is possibly a little bit up for debate. I think we mentioned that in the award nominations, that where Song Kang-ho fit into support or lead, but just the way that the nominations fell within the team, he had more votes for support than he did lead, and that's where he ended up putting him. But yeah, the first 2 awards for Parasite. What do we think about that? Worthy winners?
I think so.
It's no big shock, really. I expected Parasite to do well. So, I mean, I'm always an advocate of awards being spread out between more films.
Mm-hmm.
I find it more interesting when more films are kind of represented. So perhaps for one of those to have gone to a different film would be my preference. But I thought Park So-dam in particular was really good in Parasite. So
she was my vote. She was 100% my vote for support actress, Park So-dam. She was incredible in Parasite. I would personally, my vote for best support actor would have gone to Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse. I think he's just enjoying himself in that film, and it's just so fun to watch. I think, but again, like, I think there is also an argument to say that I think maybe Song Kang-ho puts kind of like the crucial performance in Parasite, like the whole film sort of works and fits into his narrative. So I think, yeah, it's a performance that carries the entire film of Parasite forward with it.
like all classic supporting performances.
That's why I said at the beginning that it's. I think we said as well when we were sorting this out, Jake, that Parasite is kind of film where it's like an ensemble set of performances, and there's not really a lead, and everybody's kind of supporting each other. But if there is one person, it runs through Song Kang-ho. What did you think, Jake? Worthy winners there for Parasite?
Yeah, I think, like we've said, I don't think we can take it away from them. They obviously deserve recognition. I think Park in particular was probably my pick for support. Just in the support actor, I went for Willem Dafoe, to be honest. And I think I was a bit surprised that Chadwick Boseman didn't pick up the award. To be fair, for Five Bloods, I did think that was the way it would go, and I think it was at first for a little bit when we were looking at the votes coming in.
It was. It did take an early lead, I seem to remember.
Yeah, and then Parasite took over. But yeah, I think they deserve it, definitely. Whether they're my picks is different, but I can't grumble.
That's why we're all here, isn't it? We all like different parts and different films. Me particularly, I tend to go against the grain more often than not. But yeah, that's the reason we're all here, to vote on the different things we like. Sam, are you in agreement? Are you outraged that anyone in particular didn't win anything there?
I'm kind of like you. I do wish Willem Dafoe would have picked up support actor. Like you say, he's just having a mad one in The Lighthouse, so it would have been nice to see him get that. But no, Parasite's a bit of a darling at JumpCut, so I'm not surprised to see it get 2 big wins already out the gate.
I believe Song Kang-ho was nominated at the Oscars. Is that correct? But Park wasn't.
So. No, they had no acting nominations.
Did they not have any acting nominations? That's baffling. Because I think obviously Cho Yo-jong got nominated here as well for Best Support Actress. So we're 3 out of 4 if you want to do the sort of 8 main roles. But yeah, no, I thought I remembered Song Kang-ho getting nominated, but obviously not.
No, so I remember it was controversial because it was nominated
for everything,
so many awards, but not acting.
Yeah.
So once again, I don't want to say it, but maybe we're doing it better than the Oscars.
I don't think that's in doubt.
But yes, so that's 2 out of 2 for Parasite. I wonder if we will be seeing it later on.
I wonder.
A lot of nominations. I do wonder. The next award we're going to do here between the 4 of us, and it's the winner for the Legacy Award. We're going to do it now. The Legacy Award, it's the 2nd year this award's been running. Is that right? Is that right? Right, Jake? Last year.
Last year was the first.
It was the first one. And remind me who won again. I've forgotten.
Last year was Ava DuVernay.
Ava DuVernay, for her work with in the community and with screenwriters and in championing unheard voices. And there's a good list of nominations this year again of lots of people and it's an award we think that we came up with to sort of celebrate those who have sort of increase their legacy this year, either through work in the film industry, like we said with Ava DuVernay did last year, with her work with getting more people involved, and her work with getting getting more people in the writing rooms. And then this year, it's also to include stuff like charity work that they do, or any kind of thing that's just enhanced their legacy, even as a actor or film worker, can be director, studio. Even I think we had last year, studio got nominated, but just generally as a person as well outside of it. And there were some great nominations, but in fact, I'll go through the nominations. In fact, because it was us here. It was Chadwick Boseman, it was Bong Joon-ho, it was Spike Lee, and Steve McQueen. Again, I think all four of us can agree that all four of them have done great work this year. But there could only be one winner, of course, and that probably in the biggest landslide in the voting this year did go to Chadwick Boseman. So he's the winner of this year's 2020 Legacy Award at JumpCut. Obviously, horrific circumstances that has led probably to his nomination here. I remember me and Sam and you, Sam and Reese did the Tenet episode, and that was just after Chadwick had unfortunately passed away. And I got really emotional talking about it then, and I still do whenever I think about it. It's one of those things that I haven't sort of contemplated or sort of accepted is real. And then whenever I'm just reminded that it has happened, I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, I get really sad about it again. I also said on that show that as three white guys living in the UK, we probably weren't the best people to talk about what he's done for literally millions of Black and African American people, women, children, men, like everything. Like we think of obviously his work with Black Panther, and you think, oh, it's like a superhero character. It was all the kids. He's the hero of millions of kids in America, but it's adults as well. It's men and women in their 30s and 40s will have been seeing a Black superhero on screen in a live action film for the first time, and that's a huge deal. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that literally tens of millions of Americans, people all over the world lost their idol literally overnight when that happened. Have any of you, is there anything you've want to say about Chadwick? I mean, it's just an absolute tragedy, really, in the truest sense of the word.
I think it's especially, heart-wrenching because he was aware of what was happening, obviously, and I think his last two roles, so especially in Da 5 Bloods, which is my favourite of his two prominent roles this year, I think he was very aware of what was happening and what he was choosing to do with his work. So also even before he took on roles that were kind of big figures to African American people. So his work, I think he was very sort of selective with the roles he took, and he very deliberately chose roles, and that's what makes it so poignant, really. But Da 5 Bloods, I mean, I haven't rewatched
in hindsight now.
Yeah. I haven't rewatched it since, but I mean, it was emotional enough at the time when I watched it. But that role in particular is just extremely upsetting now.
It is. I haven't gone back to watch it since, and I can't even contemplate doing so for a long time, because it's just like you said, the knowledge that he knew that this was happening to him whilst filming that role, and the nature of that role is just heart-wrenching. Like you said, he chose very carefully the roles he picked. He played James Brown. Was it James Brown he played? Yeah, and he played, I've forgotten the name of the baseball player as well. The first Black
Jackie Robinson.
The first black baseball player to break through from what they then called at the time the Negro Leagues into the American for the MLB. And I just think it's so poignant that like he spent his entire career playing Black icons, and then with the events of the last 18 months and becoming Black Panther, and then his untimely death, he's become a Black icon in his own right. And I think if you can find any solace in the tragedy, it's that there is some poignancy and poetry to that he joins the pantheon of black icons alongside those people he portrayed on screen. Jake, Sam, anything you want to add on Chadwick's legacy?
Yeah, I think it's that what you say, like the fact that he had this knowledge and this burden upon him that he was fully aware of, and he kept going. Like he could easily have just stopped and kind of concentrated on that, like on his life, but he wanted to keep going. He didn't tell anyone else and burden anyone else with it either. He literally built a legacy for himself, and the roles that he picked, as you say, were really important to him, clearly. And like obviously those roles and those performances were brilliant, but then now that we look back and know everything that he was going through and still doing that for the fans and for the audiences, just adds immeasurable weight to it. And I think that is literally the definition of a legacy. Chadwick Boseman, definitely.
I don't think there's been a bigger sort of cultural moment in my lifetime that I can remember in sort of this sort of time in my life where I've been sort of paying attention. There may well have been before I was old enough to care. But in terms of, it easily in the last 10 years, his performance as Black Panther and him becoming literally a household name off the back of that. And I think not just for African-American men and women and children across the world, but if you asked anybody like now who's your favorite superhero, so many people would say Black Panther now, where maybe before it wasn't a household name alongside the types of like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, etc. And he's now become an absolute household name because of Chadwick's work. Sam, anything you want to add on Chadwick? Anything?
Just like thinking about the Five Bloods, and now in that film the kind of group of friends are very nostalgic towards these good times they've had with his character in that, and it's just kind of pertinent to, I guess, how people feel now, like the good times they've had with his films, and especially with Black Panther and his kind of work in the MCU, because it is quite an inspiring role when you think about it. And it's just, there's not many like kind of like celebrity deaths that have affected me, but that's definitely one that like hurt a bit when we found out.
Yeah, the most recent example of I felt a similar way was when Carrie Fisher died a few years ago on Boxing Day. Was it Boxing Day? Yeah, I'm sure it was sometime shortly after Christmas, wasn't it? Yeah. I remember being really upset by that, and that was the most recent example of something where I felt anything close to the same.
I think what you were saying about it sinking in, Nick, is that it's not going to feel real until we see the next Black Panther film.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the only time really we're going to fully understand what's happened and see how they've like managed to obviously kind of deal with that in terms of
big void.
Yeah,
huge void to fill. And I think they've already been out publicly and said they're never going to recast the role as they're not going to recast T'Challa as a character. They may pass the baton to Letitia Wright, but they're never going to recast the character of T'Challa. And absolutely, I don't think anybody's clamoring for that to happen.
No, definitely not.
But say it's just an absolute tragedy. Like the Five Bloods, even scenes in Black Panther, if you think back to them now, looking on them in hindsight as well, it's just it makes a lot of it hit home a lot harder. And I think, as I said earlier, it was the one result in this year's awards that was almost unanimous,
uncontestable, really, weren't it?
In the way people voted to making sure that Chadwick is the winner of the Legacy Award. So it's a terrible shame that he's found himself eligible, I think, but we wish obviously him and his family and his friends and his co-workers, they're all still in our hearts, as is he, and will be probably for eternity, and because his legacy will last that long as well. We'll move on. It seems a bit strange to now jump into in the next round of awards, but we'll move on to the next set of awards, which are the sort of genre type films, I suppose. So it's Best Animated Film, which is going to be presented by Sarah. We have Documentary, which is going to be presented by Eleanor, and then Best Foreign Language Film, which Jake, I believe you're presenting. So it's going to be a bit of an Inception moment now. We'll see you after those three awards. Over to you guys.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah Buddery, one of the writers for JumpCut Online, as well as one of the hosts for JumpCast, and it is my delight to present the award today for Best Animated Feature Film, an incredibly strong category, and animated films were doing pretty well last year in a year where not that many films were coming out in cinemas, certainly, but a lot of these did very, very well on streaming platforms and seemed to be an area of film that really thrived. So the nominees for the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Animated Film are Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, Trolls World Tour, and Wolfwalkers. And the winner of this prestigious award is Wolfwalkers. This is my favourite film of this category, so I'm delighted. One of my favourite films of last year as well, so absolutely go and watch Wolfwalkers because it is great. And congratulations, Wolfwalkers is the winner.
Hello, my name is Eleanor and I'm one of the writers at JumpCut Online, and I have the honour of announcing the winner of the Best Documentary category in this year's Odyssey Awards. As the creator of JumpCut Online's Real Women feature, I was pleased to see that 4 of the 5 nominees for Best Documentary were directed by women. These 5 documentaries are on a range of topics: music, family, sport, politics, and in my opinion they all range from pretty good to fantastic. So the nominees are All In, The Fight for Democracy, Dick Johnson Is Dead, Miss Americana, One Man and His Shoes, and Time. And the winner of the Odyssey for Best Documentary goes to Dramatic Pause, Miss Americana. Congratulations to Miss Americana, director Lana Wilson, and Taylor Swift. Personally, I think Miss Americana is a interesting film, whether you're a Taylor Swift fan or not, because it's a good look into celebrity and the creative process musicians have. So congratulations again to Miss Americana on your Odyssey win.
Hello there, everyone. I would normally introduce myself, but I'm not going to. I don't think I need to. Not because I'm a big deal or anything like that, just literally because I'm on this show and you've been listening to me for a while now already. So without further ado, I am here to present the award for Best Foreign Language Film at the Odysseys 2020. It's a category that is full of amazing films this year. Very, very exciting nominees who in any other year would probably storm this award, but sadly only one can win. So the nominees are And Then We Danced, the Georgian film. We have Emma, the Pablo Larraín film, not the Anya Taylor-Joy film. We have Les Miserables, the police thriller, not the musical. And then we have the 2 big hitters that I'm sure everyone is very familiar with, Parasite and Portrait of a Lady on Fire. As I say, all very, very strong films. Only one can win, though. And the winner of the Best Foreign Language Film at the Odysseys 2020 is Parasite, of course. An unstoppable film of the last 12 months. The winner of the Oscar as well, storming this year's Odyssey Awards, and it picks up another one here. Well done to Bong Joon-ho and the rest of the Parasite team.
Thanks, guys, for those. So first off, we'll dissect the Best Animated Film. Fiona, do you want to go, which winner was Wolfwalkers? Do you want to go first on that one?
I'm really happy with this result. Wolfwalkers is an incredible animated film from the last year. It is on Apple TV, which I'm guessing means that not as many people probably have seen it as, if it was on
Guilty.
Netflix. If it was on Netflix or something, then more people probably would have seen it. But it's really worth seeing if you can get like a free trial to Apple and watch Ted Lasso and Wolfwalkers. It's really worth doing. It's absolutely beautiful. It's from an Irish animation studio who did Book of Kells and Breadwinner and Song of the Sea, I think it's called. but they've got a very distinctive style. It's a bit like, if you think about some of the major animation studios have like a very distinctive style, and they absolutely do. And Wolfwalkers is just stunningly gorgeous. So yeah, I'm very happy with that result.
Yeah, I didn't know it was the same studio that did Breadwinner. I've seen Breadwinner. That is, yeah, aesthetically, it's so colourful and pretty, and such a great animation style. So, like I said, it's on Apple, so I haven't got around to watching it. It is something I do want to check out. But yeah, for that exact reason, I don't have an Apple account because I already subscribed to too many streaming sites.
I get it.
But yeah, it's something I want to check out. Jake, you've seen Wolfwalkers, haven't you? Sam, I don't think you have. You're in the same boat as me. Yeah. So Jake, anything you want to add on Wolfwalkers?
I'm very happy it's won. I think it deserves the win. It's just quite unique and different compared to most animations you see pretty much every year, especially from the Disney machine that we've stopped for the 5th year in a row now on the animation.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No Disney win for 5 years.
No. So Inside Out won in 2015, and then every year since there's been nominations for Disney, absolutely, but they haven't won. So they obviously had Soul and Onward this year.
Yeah.
I did think Soul would take it, but yeah, Wolfwalkers has took it, and it's quite interesting. Obviously, Fee said not as many people will have seen it, and it still won. So
yeah, those who have it clearly was an absolute favourite for. So that's animated really. I say me and Sam haven't seen it, so we can't really add our 2 cents now. The only animated film I saw last year, I think, was Onward. I didn't see anything other than that. So
Onward, to be fair.
It's all right. Yeah, I wasn't huge on it. It got my vote by default. but yeah, it wasn't a huge year for me in animated film wise. But a category that a lot of people in here particularly have seen a lot of last year was Best Foreign Language Film, and the winner was Parasite, which I am fuming about because I love Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Yeah. I am not very happy about this, to be honest, because as I was trying to say earlier, I would prefer more films to be recognised, and it's like Parasite we knew was going to do well across the board, quite likely to win Best Film as it did at the Oscars. And I think if that's the case, then give Best Foreign Language Film to something else, something different. And it's probably the strongest category out of all of the nominations. It's some really, really good films in there. And, you know, foreign language is one of my interests, one of my passions. I could have filled that category, you know, many times over with amazing films from this year. And you don't need to give it to the film that's going to win loads of awards anyway. Just, you know, give something else a chance.
We had to abide by the numbers. We would if we could.
Yeah, Jake did look at it and think, is this close enough that we can have a deciding? But no, it wasn't. No. Parasite was a clear winner. As I said, my favourite film of last year was Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I think that is as close to a perfect film as it's possible to achieve. It's just literally moving art. Literally, I know film is an art form, but it's literally moving art. Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Yeah, I voted for it in a lot of categories coming up in stuff like cinematography and costume, and film and stuff like that. And but yeah, my vote would have gone to Portrait. Parasite. I enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Parasite. I have only seen it once. I saw it in the cinema. I haven't seen it since. Cinemas back in those days. Yeah, I did see Parasite. I did enjoy it, but it's not even close to Portrait for me. But we're a democracy, so the people have spoken. Maybe next year, after Fiona's told them off, they'll vote differently. Jake, you were a big watcher of foreign language films last year as well, weren't you? You're a particular fan of Emma, as you mentioned before.
Me, I love Emma.
Yeah, myself, big fans of Emma. I to be honest, I didn't think it was ever going to win against, you know, in any other year. Possibly it would, but in a year when you've got Portrait and Parasite.
And can I quickly just shout out And Then We Danced, which was, you know, I was really torn in this one about whether to vote for Emma or And Then We Danced, which is such a good film from last year. Again, it's like so little seen compared to like Parasite and Portrait. Hardly anyone has seen And Then We Dance, and I really encourage people to go out and discover that. It's on Prime here, and it might be in the UK as well. And it's it's a gay love story set in Georgia, and obviously it features dance, and it's just gorgeous to watch and really well acted. So I would just want to shout out that little film that hardly anyone's seen.
I think we said when we were doing the nominations, Jake, this was probably one of the strongest categories. And you said earlier, Fiona, early on in the show, that this was what you thought was probably the strongest category, and I do agree. I think, again, like you said, in any other year without Parasite, I think with Parasite winning the Oscar for Best Film and being the first film not in an English language to do so, I believe. That had obviously probably had a huge sort of knock-on effect here, which is completely fine. And so a lot of people absolutely adore Parasite. And that's absolutely fine. We won't hate on you too much. Sam, you've seen Parasite, worthy winner?
I've only seen it like twice. I can't really remember it that well, if I'm honest with you. But I do want to watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire because you keep telling me to.
Have you not seen it?
No, I've not seen it.
It's flawless, as Nick says. It's flawless.
Becky keeps saying to me she needs to see more lesbian drama films, so I guess we'll be watching that at some point.
It's a good place to start. It's a good place to start.
Although if you watch that one first, then
it's going to kind of ruin you.
But no, definitely go for it.
Yeah, so Parasite picks its third award there. Is that 3 out of 3? I wonder how long this streak is going to continue. And finally, in that sort of section there, we had Best Documentary Film, presented by Eleanor. Thank you, Eleanor, which was won by Miss Americana, which I have not seen. Has anybody here seen it?
I have.
You have as well, Jake.
I watched it specifically for the Odysseys, actually. It was fine. I'm not a Swiftie, so I'm not the target audience. It was fine, but I am going to say again that there were so many good documentaries last year. I saw, I think, 20 documentaries in 2020, which is like a high number even for me. Normally I wouldn't watch that many documentaries, but I thought it was such a strong year for docs. And the nominations for the Odysseys documentary, again, I would have had 5 completely different films. Although I think Dick Johnson Is Dead is in there, or was nominated. And I do really recommend that one. It's on Netflix, and that's a really good one. Time is very good. But again, I thought there were so many good docs that, like, there's a lot to be discovered, and they wouldn't have been my choices, put it that way.
I'm not a big documentary watcher at all. The only documentaries I watch really are ones that David Attenborough's involved in. And they're not really they're not sort of the same type of documentaries, in inverted commas. The only one I saw last year was one on Netflix, which is called American Murder: The Family Next Door, which is a tragic story about murder.
Is that a film or a TV show?
It's a feature film. Yeah, it's just it's like an hour and a half. It was a tragic story about 2 girls. I think it was in Denver or in Colorado somewhere. You can guess how it ends, but it was that was pretty hard hitting, and that was the only documentary I watched last year. So again, got my vote by default in the original nominating process, but can't add anything else on documentaries this year, I'm afraid. Jake, you did watch Miss Americana. Thoughts?
I watched all the docs. As Fee said, I watched a lot of them just for this, really. It was okay. Miss Americana, as Fee said, it wasn't bad. And
is it another case of something just being the most sort of mainstream option has taken home the award?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it was at Sundance last year. I remember it being quite a hot ticket when I was at Sundance. People were like lining up because Taylor Swift was there in person, so people were lining up around the block to see that documentary. And it's on Netflix, and I think again access is a huge factor in whether people obviously watch things and therefore
especially
vote for
last
them.
year as well.
Yeah. So Time is on Prime. Dick Johnson is Dead is on Netflix, and Miss Americana is on Netflix. So obviously, if people have a way of watching things, they're much more likely to,
Yeah, I
watch
think
it and then
the other two
celebrate
were
it.
on. I think one of it. What was it? Was it All In the Fight for Democracy? I think that's on Prime.
I think that's on Prime. Yeah.
Yeah, and One Man in His Shoes on BBC. So they were all readily available. My vote would have gone to All In the Fight for Democracy, but I mean, Miss Americana. To be fair, I'm not, like you said, I'm not a massive Taylor Swift fan, and it was still all right. It kind of made me more interested in her career, I guess. So it did its job. But yeah, it's an inoffensive win, I guess.
It's quite an interesting look at fame, but it is also quite a lot of woe is me. Being famous is so hard. Kind of. There's a lot of that all the way through.
It's just flying on a jet.
Yeah, but also, I wouldn't necessarily want to switch places with someone that famous, and I do think, it definitely has massive downsides. So, and she's so caught up in kind of her image, and she feels like anything she kind of says or does is always going to be kind of torn apart, basically. And it did cover her finally taking a stance on politics, which was quite really interesting. Yeah,
I liked that. That was probably the kind of the highlight of the documentary when it went into that territory.
Yeah, agreed.
Really interesting. I didn't expect that side of things at all. So.
Wait, you said you're not a big Taylor Swift fan, but I have a vivid memory of us at university driving to a reservoir early in the morning.
It all comes out now.
In our our flatmate Pat in his car, and I think it was 2022 by Taylor Swift was blaring out full blast.
Was I 22 at that time? Was it around that time?
Could have been. It could have been a birthday.
Yeah, that song could have been at that time.
That was. I do have a very vivid memory of that.
I remember
so
it.
that is that. That was documentary, best animated film, and best foreign language film. So next sort of section of awards we're going to move on to now are kind of more technical stuff. So Sam, I believe you've prepared a video for this one. So again, another Inception moment incoming as Sam presents the award of best stunt work. Chris, who's a new member of the team at JumpCut Online, is going to present the award for best editing, and then Hamish Calvert, who's been a sort of long-time friend and supporter of the site when he was with HC Movie Reviews. I think he still is involved there on a bit part basis. I think he runs their social media accounts as far as I'm aware. But yeah, Hamish has been a big friend of the site for a long time, and he's here to present the best visual effects award. So over to you guys.
Hi everybody, my name is Sam and I am the editor-in-chief over at JumpCut Play. Thank you for tuning in to this year's Odyssey Awards. It's a bit weird to hand the show from me to me, but here we are. And best stunt work, I'm thrilled to present this category. It's something that means a lot to me in films, and it's something that needs a hell of a lot more representation as far as something like the Oscars goes. And it's not just big flashy stunts that we need to think about, it's the little stuff, especially in the case of some of the nominated films like 1917, for example. Like, so much of that hinges on that one take, and there's not a lot of room for doubles and whatnot. But enough of me waffling. The nominations for this category are 1917, Tenet, The Invisible Man, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman 1984. And I can reveal that the winner for best stunt work at this year's Odysseys is 1917, and it's a worthy winner. There's so much that goes into this film, and I'm sure I'll get into it on the actual show when I pass it back to myself. So enough of me rambling. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the rest of the show.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris at JumpCut, and I'm going to be announcing the winner of the award for Best Editing in 2020's Odyssey Awards. It's been a very competitive category, as it has been across an array of categories this year's Odysseys. So without further ado, the nominees are Lee Smith for 1917, Yang Jingmo for Parasite, Jennifer Lane for Tenet, Andy Canny for The Invisible Man, and Benny Safdie and Ronald Bornstein for Uncut Gems. And the winner is Yang Jingmo for Parasite, a deserved win for Bong Joon-ho's Best Picture winner at last year's Oscars. And a big thank you to the whole team at JumpCut for their involvement in this year's Odysseys, and it's been an absolute treat to be able to take part in the nominees and to unveil this award. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Hamish. I'm a friend of JumpCut Online and a freelance film journalist, and I'm here to announce the winner of the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Visual Effects 2020. The nominations for this award are 1917, Birds of Prey, Possessor, Tenet, and The Invisible Man. So without further ado, let's find out the winner. So the Odyssey Award goes to The Invisible Man. This is a film that's really strong across the board, but the visual effects were amazing and they brought this classic monster movie into the 21st century. So congratulations to Lee Wannell and all the team behind The Invisible Man.
Thanks, guys, for those presentations. So, first of all, Sam, over to the award that you presented, Best Stunt Work.
1917
was the winner. 1917. Ben Cook was the stunt coordinator on 1917. Thoughts, Sam? You're the big action guy at JumpCut Online. You love your action films and your stunt work. By the way, Jay, is this the third year you've done stunts? Second year?
Third year, yes.
Third year,
yes.
yeah. I haven't been asking you, by the way, about interesting previous winner stats.
Yeah,
which I'm sure you've got all lined up.
I think you probably have got them. So we might come back. We might circle back to those at the end.
Yes,
we'll do that at the end.
I'll chuck some in as we go as well.
Yeah. But Sam, you're a big I said you're the big action guy at JumpCut Online. Love your action films. Love your stunt work. 1917. Talk to me.
I do think it's a worthy winner. I think 1917. It's not got stunts in like a big flash show. I mean, it does at the end, like the big kind of run out on the trenches, but it's got kind of loads of like little stunts that you probably wouldn't think are stunts, because there's no room in that film to have like a double like you would in another film. And it's a very physical performance, like when he's being shot at by the sniper and he's trying to get across the bridge and stuff like that. Like you wouldn't think some guy just swimming and doing a bit of a jump and stuff is a stunt, but it is. It's all different kind of moves that are blocked out, and that film is so meticulous as well in its blocking and how it goes through all those different sets. So there's loads of little stunts like that that's laid out through the movie. Yeah, definitely a worthy winner.
I think like every aspect of 1917 that we'll get into, like when we talk about the editing categories and the cinematography categories, the construction of the film and the way that it's designed to be this one take effect, really, like you said, really limits what you do, but also makes what you do have to be so, like you said, meticulously perfect, because it's got to seamlessly transition into whatever's coming next or whatever's happened. Whatever's happened before it. And so I think for that purpose, I think, like you said, 1917, it must have been so difficult for the stunt coordinating team to, as you said, make all that sort of fit together like a jigsaw. And you have to design the stunts bearing in mind where the cameras come from in the previous scene, and then you've got to work out, like a huge undertaking, like every sort of technical aspect of that film is. So I would agree, a worthy winner. Sam, I know you were probably hoping to see some Tenet love here.
I was hoping to see a bit of Tenet love, but alas.
Just talk. Do you want to? I know you probably want to talk about it for a little bit. We won't make it a video essay, but you just want to talk about why you love this stunt work on Tenet so much.
Regardless of whether you like the film or not, and I know there's somebody in this award show that maybe wasn't too hot on that film, but you can't deny like the set pieces in that film were just unreal. Like the amount of work and stuff did in that. Like I don't know another director. It's like, I'm going to buy a plane and crash it into an air hangar because it's cheaper than doing it with special effects. Like that's just insane. So much work, like 1917, so much work gone into preparing all these different set pieces. Just I don't want to go on that length back because I could speak about that film for days on end. But
how did remind, mainly for my benefit, but maybe some of the listeners or watchers don't know, the sort of backward and forward stuff happening at the same time simultaneously on screen? Was that two things layered on top of each other, or did they do that, shoot at the same time and just have like things happening back and forwards at the same time on camera?
Bits of both. So like the fight set piece in the Auslander, like they literally have to film it forward, then backwards, and then forward as if it's going backwards, and then vice versa. And then they've got to edit that together. And then there's bits and pieces where they're obviously layering different takes into each other.
Yeah.
Like, I boggles my mind thinking about the end set piece where there's all the teams going back and forth. Like, how do you coordinate that?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things I saw about Tenet in the sort of stuff they were doing beforehand and the stuff I've seen since is the behind the scenes video of John David Washington doing his fight preparation and coordination. That was really cool to see him having to learn how to fight as if he was moving backwards. That was really cool. But yeah, I said we won't talk about Tenet for ages. Jake, 1917, worthy winner for you?
I kind of echo what Sam said, really. I think my vote went to Tenet, and I think the sheer scale of it in terms of the backwards and forwards stuff was what kind of swung it for me. But the restrictions of the one take aspect of 1917 and how, like you said, the stunt work has to work. Like it just has to fit in. They can't make any kind of like contingencies or anything. It has to just work, and it has to be at a brilliant level. So I think, yeah, again, similar to a lot of these awards, to be honest, I agree it's a good winner. It wasn't my pick, but I agree it deserves it. Yeah.
You're a fan of 1917, Fiona, I believe, aren't you? You are, yeah.
I am.
Unlike Tenet.
Yeah, it might surprise people to learn that 1917 was one of my favourite films of, like, not last year but the year before. We won't get into the whole eligibility thing, but yeah, I'm a huge 1917 defender, and I think a lot of the conversation of it around it being like a really kind of boring choice for the Oscars and stuff really annoyed me, because I think it's a really audacious film, and I think it absolutely has purpose. So what really annoyed me about it is people saying it was gimmicky and kind of it was just a gimmick and for sort of no reason. That's exactly how I feel on the other hand about Tenet and its whole reverse thing. It's like, because obviously he had the idea about the reversing thing, and then he tried to make a story on top of that, which makes zero sense. Whereas with 1917, the purpose of it is absolutely tied to sort of setting, context, story. And, you know, anyway, I've written a whole essay about it on the site, so I'll try not to bang on too much. But yeah, the stunts for 1917, you know, obviously I'm going to say it's a worthy winner because I'm going to be pro it winning any awards. And I do think stunts should be recognised, but also it's not always like Sam was saying, it's not always thinking about stunt doubles necessarily. There are actors, obviously Tom Cruise is the most famous example, but in something like 1917, George Mackay would have been doing a lot of that work himself because of the nature of how it was filmed. So it's recognising not just the stunt people themselves, but also sometimes the actors and their stunt work.
Yeah, no, you make a really good point. But I think we all agree that 1917 is an absolute worthy winner.
It's one of the very few films that's united Team JumpCut, like ever.
Yeah, I think so. And like, I can't remember what I was going to add. A really good point then, but I forgot it. Anyway, we'll move on to best editing, which was presented by Chris and which was won by the very familiar film to us at this point, by Parasite.
Another one.
The editor of Parasite with Yang Yin Mo. And that's Parasite's 4 out of 4. It wasn't nominated for stunt work, I don't think. So 4 for 4 for Parasite. There is a theme developing. Editing for me I would never vote for Parasite in this category, personally. So I don't know what the rest of JumpCut are doing.
I don't think it's a feature of Parasite that particularly stands out personally.
Yeah. For me, I think there were 2 absolute clear contenders, which were 1917 for the reasons we've said before in how to seamlessly slot those scenes together to make it look like a one-take film. And for me, the other nominee that was in a sort of category of its own was Uncut Gems, because I think the editing of Uncut Gems is, like you said, Fiona, with the one cut take in 1917, that's integral to the story they're telling. The editing, the way that Uncut Gems is edited, is the same for that film. It's so chaotic. and that chaotic nature doesn't come across unless you've literally got like 8 to 10 cuts in 20 seconds, which it does in some places. So I think, the editing really enforces and gives the story forward momentum in Uncut Gems, and then for One Cut Nature in 1917, I think they were two. I couldn't sort of split those apart. Probably as a technical feat, I think I did vote for 1917 in the end. But those two were for me. Jake, Sam, Fiona, Parasite, are you agreement that you didn't vote or probably wouldn't have voted for Parasite for best editing?
Parasite winning this one's the biggest surprise of maybe all of this, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was going to win a lot of awards, but I didn't expect it to get this one at all. With the films that we've just mentioned, obviously, and Tenet as well, for the backwards editing and all that stuff. Like, Parasite's editing was good, really good, but it wasn't anything.
Like Fiona said, it's not integral to the story.
Yeah,
it's not. Whereas I think it is in some of the other nominees.
I know we spoke about the kind of montage scene where they find the tissue in the bin. It's really, really good editing. Really good editing. But is the whole film an achievement in editing? Probably not. I don't know.
It's a very well structured film, which I think some people might think in their head. It's a very well done narrative, and the way it's structured is very clever. And so people think that that's good editing, but it's not.
Is that good storytelling, or is that good editing?
Although they do say that good editing is editing.
It is part of it. Yeah. So, but I'm not the biggest Uncut Gems fan. Certainly not on Team JumpCut. But I actually agree with Nick that Uncut Gems would have been my pick here, because I do think it's a really well edited film. And like he says, it absolutely, the reason you have all that anxiety watching it is partly Sandler's performance, but also the editing really gives you that feeling of, tight chest, and this is it's the way. And when you think about the kind of story it is, but you're watching it like it's kind of a horror film or an action film, like you're getting that same adrenaline that you would from horror or action, but it's actually kind of like an indie drama. So I do think Benny Safdie's editing, I'm gonna shout him out by name. He's because his editing Good Time as well was so good. I do think they are very good at editing, Safdie brothers.
I believe
Josh didn't do it.
Yeah, Josh bowed out on this one. He took a day off when they're doing editing.
I know Josh isn't an editor, but I'm just saying they make edited films.
Well-made films.
Josh is lazy, clearly.
What we've established is that Josh is the lazy Safdie.
And very clever as well, staying out of the editing. Don't touch that.
Sam, you're a Uncut Gems man as well as a Tenet man.
I am indeed.
You own some Uncut Gems merchandise, I believe. Don't you?
I do.
Did that get your vote here?
I did vote for Uncut Gems, I believe. Again, it would have been a word river if it did. It's one of the films I watch where the editing reflects the locations they're in as well. Like when he's in the jewelry store, it's very much like I'm in your face kind of thing. And then when he's at home or he's in his the other apartment he has, it's very much more spaced out, a bit more much more time between each kind of cut. But it reflects each location is in. Like when he goes to the play back with his family, then it just reverts back to chaos again. It's so reflective of where he goes. That's one of the things I really enjoy about it.
Yeah. So Parasite does go for
basically just saying that.
Yeah, Parasite shouldn't have won. But again, we are a democracy here at JumpCut Online, and that means Parasite has gone 4 for 4 at this point. For how long will the streak continue? We shall see. Best visual effects. The winner there that was announced by Hamish, and the winner was Invisible Man, which I think was probably a bit of a surprise for us all.
I think so.
This is one of the few cases of the one I voted for winning, I think.
Is it?
And I didn't even watch Invisible Man up until.
I thought you were going to say not at all.
I didn't watch Invisible Man or Tenet up until very, very recently. I had put off Invisible Man for a long time because I knew I'd find it quite hard to watch.
It's
quite sort of
themes are troubling.
Quite traumatic, and I don't often really seek out films where I think this is just going to upset me. But I think the effects work on Invisible Man is a worthy winner, actually, because I do think the way, obviously, the Invisible Man is represented in scenes is well done.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably one of those winners where it's not as striking or memorable when you think of something like 1917 or Tenet, which were also nominated, I believe. Yeah. Where obviously you think of Tenet, you think of that massive finale scene with the building collapsing and then rebuilding itself. Like, that's great special effect work. But like Fiona said, I think like subtly, I think subtly, Invisible Man did do really good work. It's probably strays more into sort of cinematography category as well, but I love its use of open space and the way that was represented the invisibleness of the man. That probably does stray more into cinematography category.
That's where the title came from.
Oh, what? The invisibleness of the man. Yeah. But yeah, so I think there probably were more sort of obvious places to vote, but I'm fine with Invisible Man winning. I think I voted for 1917. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm fine with Invisible Man winning. Jake, Sam, worthy winner, Invisible Man. Sam, you're a bit more surprised, I think, about Invisible Man winning.
It's one of my favorite films of last year for sure. I really love that film, but I am surprised to see it in Best Visual Effects. But maybe that's a testament to how good they were, because it propped up here tonight. I don't know. I think, like you said, like maybe like some of the bigger ones like Tenet and 1917 were the ones where my mind kind of went to. But now, kind of thinking back on Invisible Man, now we're talking about, like, there is bits in that where the visual effects are crushed to it, especially that restaurant scene that everybody has talked about since that film came out. That's definitely a part of that, and the one take scene as well in the hospital.
Yeah, that's really in the corridor. That's really
good.
Yeah, really good. It's one. Yeah, there's lots of little example. I think even something as simple as
the shower as well.
Yeah, the shower and the paint when she's in the attic and she throws it
down.
Like just something as simple as that. It's like little. There's not a grand moment, but there's little bits which sort of have a cumulative effect to maybe it winning it. Jake.
Yeah, I think that kind of ties into what I was just going to say. It's I'll throw just a sprinkle of stats in. Just as a treat. In previous years, the visual effects have been huge films. So Star Wars: Force Awakens, The Jungle Book, War for the Planet of the Apes, and then the last 2 years were Infinity War and Endgame. So I think
the lack of big blockbuster this year.
Yeah, I think to go to something like The Invisible Man this year is really interesting. I don't know what the budget was, but it's nowhere near any of those films, obviously. And the scale of it wasn't either. And like we say, I think it is just down to that more subtle visual effects work that's kind of took it for Invisible Man there.
Yes, so that is that sort of recent, those three sort of category of things we've just done there. And we're going to move on to some sort of more technical stuff as well. This time it's score and soundtrack, which is going to be presented by Heather, who is the editor-in-chief and founder of the Valkyries. Again, as I said with George earlier, a long-time friend and partner of the site. Fiona, again, another Inception moment coming up as you're going to present the award for production and costume. And then Nicola from We Have a Whole Podcast is going to be presenting the award for cinematography. So over to you guys.
Hi, everybody. My name's Heather, and I'm the editor-in-chief over at the Valkyries. Thank you very much to everybody at JumpCut for inviting myself on for a second year to get involved with the Odyssey Awards. We're always very happy to be here and get involved. So my category this year is the Best Score and Soundtrack of 2020. So, without further ado, the nominees for the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Score or Soundtrack 2020 are Thomas Newman for 1917, Daniel Pemberton for Birds of Prey, Jung Jae-il for Parasite, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and John Batiste for Soul, and Ludwig Göransson for Tenet. There's some incredible talent in that nomination pool, but there can only be one winner. So the winner for the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Score or Soundtrack 2020 goes to Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and John Batiste for the film Soul.
Hello to all of the JumpCut Online family. This is your Editor-in-Chief, Fiona Underhill speaking. I'm coming to you from my closet where I am surrounded by all of the clothes and shoes and accessories that I haven't been able to wear in the last year. And I've decided to get dressed up for the occasion, you might notice. So I've gone full glam, as I haven't managed to get out of my loungewear for the last year. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to glam myself up a bit. And the reason for this is that I am here to present the award for costume and production design. And so obviously we need a little bit of production value, let's say. So I'll crack straight on with the nominations, which are here in my handy on-brand notebook. Okay, so the nominations are Dennis Gassner, David Crossman, Jacqueline Duran for 1917, KK Barrett and Erin Benak for Birds of Prey, Cave Quinn, Alexandra Byrne for Emma, period, Thomas Griswold and Dorothy Gerard for Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Harjun Lee and Si-Yun Choi for Parasite. And I'm pleased to announce that the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Production Design and Costume Design of 2020 goes to, drumroll please, Thomas Griswold and Dorothy Gerard of Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Thank you for joining us, and farewell.
Hi, I'm Nicola from We Have a Hug and JumpCut Online, and I'm thrilled to be announcing the nominations for the Best Cinematography category in the Odysseys 2020. So 2020 was a year filled with outstanding films, wonderfully brought to life by phenomenal cinematography, spanning from the surreal nightmare The Blazing French Ruins in 1917, the haunting and mystifying visuals of The Lighthouse, to the voyeuristic quality highlighting the class divide in Parasite. This is going to be a close category. And the nominees are Sir Roger Deakins from 1917, Hong Kong Poi from Parasite, Claire Mathon for Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Wheat van Hoytama for Tenet, and Jaron Blask for The Lighthouse. And the winner is Sir Roger Deakins, who has managed to scoop his third award in the Odysseys. So there's no denying the legendary status of Deakins, whose work on 1917 is a huge technical feat which truly immerses in the brutality and horror of war with an impressively sweeping feel of a one-shot. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys, for those awards. So firstly, score and soundtrack, which is probably the one award, apart from Portrait not winning Best Foreign Language Film earlier, and cinematography in a moment, which we'll talk about. I think I really wanted Tenet to win Best Score. That was the one thing I was desperate for Tenet to win, because I love the score in Tenet. I think, I've forgotten his name. What's his name? Ludwig, yeah. I think, again, we mentioned on the nomination show that he's probably one of the hot up-and-coming sort of properties in the sort of score world, the musical world of Hollywood. And it's just I just love the Tenet score. I've got
I agree.
It was robbed. Again, Fiona's sort of fuming.
Six of the tracks
I don't
on
know
the
what she's
Tenet.
fuming about either. It could be anything now.
6 of the tracks on the Tenet score in my top 10 most listened to of the last 6 months on Spotify.
Is that right? 6 of them?
Yeah.
That says more about you than it does the score, possibly.
I loved, is it called Posterity, the track?
Yes.
I love that one, and I love Trucks in Place. And then obviously I like The Plan with Travis Scott. Yeah. That was probably what I was rooting for, and that's definitely what I voted for. Yeah. Sam, you are 100% in agreement, obviously.
It should have been Tenet. Come on now. Come on. Posterity, 12 minutes of audio heaven. So many good tracks. Windmills, Foils, Betrayal. Oh,
this is a betrayal.
It is.
Fiona, what did you vote for?
I think out of the choices available, I voted for 1917.
Which is also
that was nominated, right?
It was, yeah.
I've got it behind me somewhere.
I absolutely love the score for 1917. For me, it's Deakins, which we'll obviously get to later. the score, and George Mackay's performance. It's those three things that make 1917 what it is. And the score, talking about it being like replayed on Spotify, The Night Window, there's so many tracks on that 1917 score that I've listened to over and over again, and I think it is stunning, absolutely stunning. The last scene where he's under the tree and it's like the start and the end is it's like a cyclical thing. That track, which I think is just called Home, I find so emotional. But the way the score is used throughout is so propulsive, and also that sort of drip, drip, drip kind of feed it does at times. Oh God, I love that score so much. So that definitely would have been my choice. But as always, there's other films as well that I want to quickly mention score-wise. True History of the Kelly Gang, which everyone has got completely sick of me banging on about in the group chat.
2 years now, Fiona. Come on.
Let it go. But yeah, the score of Kelly Gang is one of my favourites, and also David Copperfield, which I'm so mad at myself because I got confused about eligibility and I didn't vote for Personal History of David Copperfield in the Odysseys because I got mixed up about when it came out in the UK. But the score of that is really good. And I am going to quickly shout out the score of Shirley because I interviewed the composer. And I think, again, the score is doing something so specific in that film where it's got these themes of these three women and the way she kind of ties them together. And it's narratively really integral to the film. So, and the Tenet score, I'm sorry, did not register with me whatsoever when I was watching it. Like it means nothing to me, nothing. But yeah, Soul score is fine. I don't know.
Is it just the Disney effect? Is it Disney effect impact?
I think it's who they are. It's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. People love those guys, really love them. And I understand why they are really good. Don't get me wrong, but I just think there's more interesting choices.
I do want to give a shout out to Birds of Prey score as well, which was nominated but didn't win. I think Daniel Pemberton's actual score for the film is great, but also the sort of soundtrack that they released to accompany it has some really, really, really good tracks on it. There's a remix they've done of Sway. I'm not going to do a rendition of it. With a Sway with me, I should say.
And now the Odyssey musical
and go into an advert break with me singing, which was done by, I've just looked it up here, Saweetie and Galaxara. Yeah, they did a great remix of Sway with Me, which is really as a song I used to, when I was at school, I was in in a band, an R&B band with the school, and we used to play Sway with Me, or the original, all the time. So it was really cool to hear in a 2020 remix of that, which was really good. So I wanted to give Birds of Prey a shout out. I love that.
This was Daniel Pemberton's second nomination, by the way.
Is he nominated for Spider-Verse?
Yeah, he did Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he did.
Which was arguably better. Didn't win either that year.
No, he didn't. Soul for you, Jake. What were your thoughts on Soul?
It's turned into quite a negative show, this, isn't it?
I'd say it'll just end up with us all getting a bit more grumpy.
Yeah, Soul was really disappointing for me as a film entirely. It was nowhere near my favourite animated film. The score, I think, like Fee said, I think it's definitely down to the fact that it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. That will definitely have played into it quite a lot. Truthfully, I can't even really recall the score that much, which says a lot, I guess.
Which is unusual for a Pixar or Disney film. Then normally they have. I've not seen Soul, so I can't really comment. But it's unusual that the score is so, for you personally.
I'm sure it was good.
And also, the film is about jazz, like music. It should be integral to that film. And I'm kind of with Jacob on this, in that the film was okay. I certainly wish it had made a different choice in terms of Tina Fey's involvement, and
very problematic.
Yeah, the fact that there's like a black lead character in a Pixar film is really major, but then they'd made some very odd narrative choices involving
like two or three really problematic choices along
Yeah,
the way.
I agree, and I don't
everything.
think Tina Fey should have been involved at all. But yeah, music wise, it was okay, but not spectacular.
I agree.
We'll move on to production and costume design. Fiona, this was the award that you presented, and the first victory of the evening for Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Yeah.
This is your absolute jam, Fiona, isn't it? So I'll let you talk about Portrait.
Well,
and the stuff you're gonna recommend as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yep, here we go.
I hope you appreciate that I made myself much more glamorous when I presented my costume clip. But costume and production design are my babies, and I am going to talk to you, Jacob, about separating those bloody categories next year, because
you can talk.
I'm not having it anymore. But because, for example, this is a rare example where Parasite should have been nominated for production design and possibly won it, but not for costumes. But anyway, I love Portrait, and I'm happy it's won an award, but I actually would have chosen Emma in this case. So that would have been my choice.
So again, you can never be fully happy.
I know. I'm literally never happy.
When it had an opportunity. Go on.
Portrait is, for me, Portrait strengths lie in other areas such as cinematography. But it's but I think costume and production design are hugely it's not even the fact that they're overlooked, it's more the fact that people only really pay attention to them when it's a period film.
Piece,
and other than that, they go fairly ignored. So Parasite is an example of amazing production design, because director Bong built that entire set like it was all purpose built, and it has such a integral kind of narrative place in that story. An upcoming example of really good production design that I want people to look out for is The Father, which is the Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman film, which again, probably hardly anyone really noticed the production design in that, but the way the production design and the editing work together in that film is insanely good. And probably Anthony Hopkins is the only kind of thing about the film that people will really kind of recognize, but production design is so good in that film.
I had a friend of a friend who was involved in the set construction on The Father.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing that when it comes out.
It's so well done. Well done.
But yeah, I think you are right, Fiona. They are different. I think, like you said, Parasite, and the way that the layout of the house is so integral. That huge sort of bay open window in the living room is so integral to that space, and the way that you move through the house and the stairs to the cellar and everything from the kitchen is integral to the story, like you said. So I might co-sign on that, Fiona, for next year.
It's too late. It's done. It's already in stone.
But again, I voted for Portrait here for me. Again, probably falling into the trap that Fiona mentioned. I was just like, it's like a period piece, and they're pretty costumes. I haven't seen Emma, but which again, I think you interviewed costume designer on Emma as well.
I did, yes. The costumes in Portrait are good, and they are well thought out. For example, the contrast of the red and green is so good, and such a kind of theme throughout. And I love also the white nightgown that Adele Haenel wears, and Naomi Merlant kind of sees her at night, and she's like this vision, like a ghost kind of thing in the dark. And so I'm not saying it's bad in any way, it's just there's other kind of stronger areas for me.
Jake, you're a Portrait fan as well as me and Fiona.
Big time. My favourite film of last year as well.
Are you happy to see it win an award?
Yeah, I'm just happy to see it win an award. I get what you both said. Like, obviously, maybe there was other deserved winners, and maybe it's not the key part of Portrait. But I think it got my vote just out of desperation to hope that it wins. The costume design and production design is fantastic in that film. Obviously,
I think the house is Yeah,
Yeah.
talking about actual production design, not just costume. The house in Portrait is really good as well.
The rooms and
Yeah.
stuff is really well done.
It is really well designed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Emma as well was probably would have been my second pick. But I couldn't look past Portrait really. But yeah, the costume designer Alexandra Byrne won last year for Mary Queen of Scots. So she could have got a double. Quite. But
Mary
2
Queen of Scots
nominations
is
in
really
2
good.
years is really good, obviously. Yeah, I think in terms of like the modern and the period things that you said there.
I mean, even Birds of Prey, which
I was going to say
spoiler alert, I hated. I'm a fan of Birds of Prey being recognised for costumes because at least it's not a bloody period piece.
Exactly.
The fact that people can, and like Promising Young Woman's quite a good example as well, where people kind of look past. Look past period.
Yeah. Jake, were you going to come in with another stat there about period pieces versus modern pieces?
No. To be fair, production and costume designs. This is only its second year. I will just
at my insistence.
I will just basically. I will just defend why it has to be one category. Well, I'll try and defend it anyway, and I'll be wrong anyway. But so it has to be one because we don't want to go over 20 awards for a start, and second, I guess the better way to do it would be to call it just like production
design.
Yeah, because that can incorporate sound, costume, the actual product, everything. So chucking the word costume in there is a little bit misleading, I guess. But yeah,
it does just end up being a costume design.
It ends up being a costume award.
Yeah.
Look, we'll get into this later because I do want to hash it out with you.
It's going to be fun in the managers' chat later on this evening.
This is the last Odyssey Awards
ever. Sam, were you disappointed not to see Adam Sandler's mustard attire from Uncut Gems or anything?
Yeah, of course. So that leather jacket, the whole ensemble, the Gucci shoes. Why did not mention it?
It's really good costume design again in Uncut Gems.
Yeah,
really good.
Howie Bling.
Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to see there, Sam? Because obviously you haven't seen Portrait. What did you vote for? And what were you?
1917, but it's a bit of an odd one in that because I don't know how people kind of look at like they've got all uniform. I think we're kind of used in war films to seeing uniforms, and we don't really think about that. But there is a level of accuracy that they do have to take with getting that correct. And I do think in 1917. There's a lot of variation in different uniforms and tiers and stuff that you see. So again, I think that's a really good one that could have got
It's a massively layered costume when you think about all the elements that they have to wear and all those packs they have to carry and all the elements to it. It's definitely really intricate.
Yeah. And finally, in this group of awards is cinematography. Much like Fiona in the last category, I'm happy with the winner. Like the cinematography in 1917 is incredible. And again, as we've mentioned before, with the one take notion and how, again, to make that look as good as it is and do that as an undertaking is amazing. But as I said before, Portrait of a Lady on Fire is literally art. Like it's literally art. And that was 100% where my vote went when I was voting. I assume Jake and Fiona, you were the same.
I did vote for Portrait for cinematography, but I was really torn because, like I said earlier, I wrote an entire essay about Deakins and his cinematography in 1917 because I felt so strongly about it. But Maton's cinematography in Portrait is just flawless. It's, you can't overstate how good that film looks and how meticulous, exquisitely thought out every single frame is. It's so, literally every frame is just a stunning
for a film about a painting. Literally every frame is a painting, and I think that's such a deliberate thing to do. Particularly, the thing that's obviously most striking is the beach sequences with the brilliant blue sky and the crashing waves. It's amazing. Literally every frame is literally a work of art. So that is where my allegiances lied. For a lot of these categories, I voted for Portrait. So, but as I mentioned, Deakins is an absolute, and he's an absolute favourite here at JumpCut as well. I think this is Jake, not to take,
Daddy Deakins, as
not
I
to take,
call
not to take, not to take your mantle away from you, Jake. But this is his third win, I think. He
Third
won
win,
for
yeah. 3 out
Sicario,
of
and he
3.
won for
Blade Runner
as well. Yeah,
he
2049.
is now the joint most decorated person in our awards. Adam
Joint
Driver.
with Adam
Driver has 3 awards as well.
Of course he does.
And I'm sure he would have won this year.
Daddy Driver and Daddy Deakins.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam, again, without seeing Portrait, you were happy with 1917?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, outside of the one take thing, like Deakins himself, like he's got this
silhouette
really,
use.
Yeah, that like, I'll get onto that. Like he has a knack of being able to take really kind of dull color palettes and still make them kind of pop and be vibrant and interesting. Like you say about the silhouettes there, like when he gets the cathedral in 1917 as that fire, like the way the orange kind of so striking on that. And you see that in his other films, like you see it in Skyfall as well, like in the ending of that. It's got such a good knack with us taking
Pretty
these.
similar, actually. The end sequence to Skyfall and
It's just got a really good knack of making things really striking, not just like the composition, but the actual like textural like quality of what you're seeing as well.
Yeah. Again, I'm disappointed because again, I just want more portrait representation. But I can never be mad at Roger Deakins for winning a cinematography award.
Sir Roger Deakins.
Sir Roger, I do him a disservice. That is true. Knight of the Realm. Yes, cinematography. What else was nominated for that? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Were there any other films?
Was there anything else in contention? Lighthouse actually hasn't been many
Yeah.
nominations this year.
I'm surprised
Parasite's
because
lost one, by the way.
Sorry?
Parasite's lost one, finally.
It has.
By the way.
Suck it, Parasite. But yeah,
I'm
I think
surprised Lighthouse hasn't done better because it was such a jump cut favourite. And also, although I'm not the biggest Lighthouse fan, I do think the cinematography is incredible in that.
Very
and
unique.
its use of aspect ratio, obviously the black and white, but it's not just black and white, it's the grain of it. And, you know, it is really, really well shot.
That's another one that
I think a lot of people, like when you reminded me, Nick, forgot it came out in the UK
Corey
last
did,
year.
didn't I? Corey said that he forgot.
Corey did.
A few other people probably forgot, which is
because I think we went because me, Sam, Jake, and Tom Sheffield from JumpCut as well. We went to see.
We went in 2019.
We went to a screening of it, an early screening of it. In Leeds. In 2019. That was a long time ago. But yeah. Just wanted to shout out the Lighthouse there because it's not been too well represented here, and like Fiona said, particularly the cinematography is really good in that film. We are close to the home stretch here. There are only, there's only 8 awards to go, but we're moving into the sort of territory of the big awards, if you like, the big 5.
Get in there.
But first, it's time to announce our winners for Breakthrough, and that's Breakthrough Star and Breakthrough Director. And to do that, for Breakthrough Star, we have our very own Reese. And then to announce the winner for Breakthrough Director, we have Cameron, who used to write for us now and is now gone to work for Unilad, I think. Oh, how dare he?
He still hangs around like a
He still hangs around.
Yeah.
So
You let him
Reese and,
stay for a bit.
Yeah, Reese and Cam, over to you to announce the award for Breakthrough Star and Director.
Hello, and welcome to the next Odyssey Award for this evening. I am your host, Reese. I am a writer and Patreon podcast host for JumpCut Online, and I am very excited to be here today to present the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Breakthrough Star of 2020. Despite everything, 2020 saw some very good debuts from people all over the film industry, and I have got today 5 very worthy nominees to be named Breakthrough Star of the Year. So without further ado, the 5 nominees are Maria Bakalova, Moravid Clark, Roman Griffin Davis, George Mackay, and Eliza Scanlon. Like I said, any of these 5 would be very deserving of the Odyssey Award this year. You saw Maria Bakalova in Borat 2 with her ridiculously all-in performance. You had Moravid Clark in the weirdly terrifying Saint Maud. You had Roman Griffin Davis, who was a complete star in Jojo Rabbit. George Mackay in 1917, and Eliza Scanlon in Baby Teeth. Any of those actors and actresses could come away with this award today. All 5 had amazing years, and I can't wait to see what's next for any of them. So, without further ado, the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Breakthrough Star of 2020 is Eliza Scanlon. Personally, I'm chuffed about this win for Eliza Scanlon. I think her performance in Baby Teeth specifically was an absolute heartbreaking performance, and that film is a phenomenal film that you can watch on Netflix at the minute, and I think it really deserves all the love it's getting. But like I said, any of those 5 could have won it, but Eliza Scanlon is our winner, and she joins illustrious company with people such as last year's winner Florence Pugh. I mean, whatever happened to her, eh? But that's it from me. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Hi, I'm Cameron Frew. I'm a writer at Unilad, and I'm here to present the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Breakthrough Director 2020. So, the nominees are Rada Blank for the 40-year-old version, Rose Glass for Saint Maud, Andrew Patterson for The Vast of Night, Alex Thompson for Saint Francis, and Remy Weeks for His House. All very good films this year. And the winner of Breakthrough Director 2020 is Rose Glass for Saint Maud. Not just one of the best horror movies of last year, one of the best movies overall. So please check out if you haven't seen it, and the rest of the nominees in this list, because they were all fantastic. But congratulations to Rose Glass.
Thank you, Reese and Cam. So, star Eliza Scanlon. What an actress in the making she is, by the way. She is incredible. She did 2 sort of films of note this year, which are The Devil All the Time and Baby Teeth. But I think her best work comes in Baby Teeth, which is a film I didn't see until after I'd done my first original bout of nominations. If I had seen, because it released here on literally New Year's Eve, I think. Yeah. If I had seen it before, so it would have been dotted in and around my other awards, because I adored Baby Teeth. I'd have nominated it for score, supporting actor, actress, everything. And Eliza Scanlon, again, that film literally lives and dies with her and her character. Without going into spoiler territory, maybe literally.
It's not a spoiler because she dies in every film.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It's a trend.
But that film is so integral to her performance, and she's so good in it. Have all 4 of us seen it? Sam, have you seen Baby Teeth? No. It's on Netflix.
You've got some treats.
Definitely go and catch it up. It's really good. But Jake, do you want to talk about Eliza Scanlon and particularly Baby Teeth?
Happily. Yeah, very, very happy that she won this one. I think she was, like, I think throughout the year, I didn't really have anyone particularly in mind for Breakthrough Star. But then as soon as I saw Baby Teeth, I was like, this is the performance that has kind of landed her right in the limelight. She is, like, I knew she was good. Obviously, we've seen Sharp Objects, Little Women. I watched Devil All the Time, which she was pretty good in as well. And then Baby Teeth having like the lead role finally, and just the unbelievable performance at such a young age as well. And like that is just the epitome of a breakthrough. I think that performance there. I know she's already on the scene, but she is firmly.
That should be the performance that sort of catapults her into. And like, it's not like she's been in small stuff. I mean, she was in Sharp Objects opposite Amy Adams and Little Women, which is a huge film. It was released multiple Oscar-winning nominated film.
This is all about her. This one now, definitely Baby Teeth. Yeah.
Were you a fan of Baby Teeth, Fiona? Have you seen it, Baby Teeth?
It will shock you to hear that. Not particularly. No. I thought it was. I thought it was okay. I had a bit of an issue with a particular scene, which I won't get into because of spoilers. But it was.
Is it the scene in the bedroom?
Yeah.
That scene is rough.
Which kind of coloured how I felt about the film as a whole, really. I do think Ben Mendelsohn and S.C. Davis are amazing in it.
That's Ben Mendelsohn's best performance for ages, I think. He's so good in that.
Yeah. I like Eliza Scanlon. I don't have any beef with her. My kind of pick here would have been Rada Blank for 40-year-old version. I do have beef with George Mackay being in this category because
he again, like, he's been on the scene for a long time.
I've written a piece on the site about his 15-year career and his 20 films in that time. So I just can't.
This was the big one, though. That's all. But yeah, I do get it.
He was a kid actor. He was literally like a child actor. So I can't view him as a breakthrough. But yeah, I don't begrudge Eliza Scanlon at all, because I do think she's a good actress.
Yeah, I think as much as I just sung the praises of Eliza Scanlon, I didn't actually vote for her. I voted for Morford Clark for St. Maud, partly because of her performance in St. Maud, which I think is incredible. Again, like Eliza Scanlon in Baby Teeth, that whole film lives or dies through her and her performance. What the house has just been broken into, I think. Yeah, and I loved her performance. But also, I think for me, what tipped her over the edge was that it's been announced that she's going to be playing a young Galadriel in the Amazon Middle Earth series, this new $1 billion TV series, which is coming out in the whenever. And for her to get a part like that this year, playing literally probably, one of the biggest, you'd assume one of the biggest roles in a series of that size as a young Galadriel. That's huge for her. And so that's why she got my vote for this year, particularly as being a breakthrough year for her. Sam, who did you vote for? Because you haven't seen Baby Teeth, but what did you vote for here?
I think I might have fallen guilty and voted George Mackay.
It is the year he did become, I think, a household name. I think, like, for people I work with who aren't film people in inverted commas, like, they went to see 1917 and like, who's the lead guy? And he was really good. Like, they'd never heard of George Mackay before. We're now aware of him. Which again, Fiona would be throwing fists in my office. But yeah, George Mackay for you, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. Again, like we've been saying with a lot of these films, 1917 lives and dies with him pretty much. He is the crux of that film, and he makes it work, like not just with the stunts that were discussed earlier, but the kind of emotional resonance of it as well, especially as we get to the kind of final set piece. Yeah, I think it's a worthy addition in there, even though it's apparently been around a couple of years.
A couple. He's a worthy addition in Best Actor.
Yeah. Honorable mentions to Rowan Griffin Davis for Jojo Rabbit, who is great in that lead role. And it was Maria Bakalova as well, who was nominated for her appearance and sort of break. I think it's her first acting appearance in Borat.
So.
In Borat
I
2.
believe so.
So yeah, Jake, I can't remember if we've come to you and said if you're happy with Eliza Scanlon winning.
Yeah, no, I was first. I'm very, very happy.
He was. Yeah. What is the precedence for previous best breakthrough star winners at the Odysseys? I assume they've all gone on to
they go on to
undoubted huge for the incredible things.
Before they receive this award, it's kind of like, who's this guy? But now they've got that award.
We're their launch pad.
Well, I don't want to say it, but
we are an absolute catapult for the following people: Alicia Vikander. In 2015, obviously went on to huge things. Jacob Tremblay, very young, but still doing great things. Finn Wolfhard.
His scene, by the way, in Dr. Sleep is like what acting that is.
Yeah, and he's like, what, 9 or something? Yeah. I don't know. Probably that, but yeah, ridiculous. Finn Wolfhard, more TV, but still huge. Thomasin McKenzie and Florence Pugh the last 2 years as well. So we've had, in the last 3 years, the 3 young women that we've had win this award are particularly unbelievably talented.
I think you could argue that Florence Pugh is now probably like one of the generation of the next absolute superstars in Hollywood.
So if it wasn't for that award last year,
I do think she might still be languishing in the doldrums of Hollywood. Yeah. As well, of course, breakthrough star there. Just in that we had the breakthrough director announced, which was Rose Glass for St. Maud. So St. Maud does get some representation. Very happy for me. Again, I love St. Maud. I love the tone of it. I love the way it looked. I love the direction from Rose Glass. It was one of my favorite films last year. I think it was in and around my top 5. It might have been just outside, but it was definitely top 10 for me last year. And I'm really, really excited. And watching an interview with Rose Glass and reading a lot of interviews around her about the stuff that went into making St. Maud. I think that she's a very worthy winner here. Jake, you watched St. Maud very recently. Was it this week? In fact, you
It was
watched
this week, yeah. I
Yeah.
can't remember what day, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. Before I watched that, my vote was entirely with Rhoda Blank, and still is, to be honest. But I can't complain with Rose Glass winning. I think like you said, the overall, just everything, like the mood of the film with the cinematography and the narrative as well, which is bleak as hell, literally hell, is fantastic. And for that to be, I think for that to be a debut feature is very.
It felt
very
it felt
bold.
very self-assured, really self-assured in
very.
its voice and what it wanted to say. Although I don't enjoy the sort of representation of Yorkshire too much. Scarborough it looks like a very dull and dreary.
We'll never look at
Scarborough's
Scarborough Beach the same.
Yeah, I used to go there every year as a kid, and it's not that well. It probably is now. To be fair, but.
Fee, were you a fan of Saint Maud?
Of all the films kind of nominated for
You were rather
Odysseys,
blank,
this is one of the very few that I haven't seen. And in
Is it
my
is-
defence, I
in the
live in
US,
the
yeah.
I live in the US, and we haven't had a release at all of Saint Maud here. So it was one of my most anticipated of last year, and I really, desperate to see it. I've ordered this bought the steel book.
That's a commitment, that is.
You won't regret it. I don't think.
So, I really thought it should have been here by now, actually, but it's on its way, and I'm really, really hyped for that one. Very excited. So hope I don't get let down.
It's been interesting actually seeing people, because it's released on Blu-ray here in the UK this week. So it just caught the end of the time when cinemas were open in the UK. So there was a real mix of people who got to see in that week that it was in the cinema, and then those who've had to wait till now. So it's interesting to see how the reaction to it has sort of evolved between those two different things. I think it was a lot more universal in its praise in the cinemas. I think
I've seen a lot of criticism recently.
It's been much more mixed when people finally got around to seeing it now. I don't know whether that's a case of like 4 or 5 months of sitting on those people that saw it and singing all his praises back in October time, but we'll see. And I look forward to your thoughts.
I think it's probably down to the commitment and what kind of people went to see it the first time. Is going to be people that would have probably liked it enough to go and see it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you wait for a release at home, anyone can watch it and not need to be that committed to it in a sense.
Yeah. Sam, you weren't a huge fan of Saint Maud, were you?
No, I was
more middling on it.
Yeah, I mean, even though I'm not so hot on the film, I did vote for Rose Glass for breakthrough director, because even though I'm not that attached to it, I do think it is a well-directed film. And like Jacob says, as a debut, it is quite impressive that she's tackled the content that is in it, and like you said, to quite an assured degree as well. So yeah, I do think it is worthy of the vote. I mean, I'm probably going to rewatch it again. The first time, I don't know if it's just my expectations that I'm
a bit worried about my expectations.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's just do a rewatch and maybe I'll like it a bit more, but I don't think it's a bad film by any means.
Yeah, I think we're all in sort of, again, Jake and Fiona, I know you were singing the praises of Rada Blank for 40-year-old version, and that's probably where your votes lay and went to. But I don't think any of us are in doubt that Rose Glass was probably a worthy winner there, as worthy, I'd say. Rebby Weeks is somebody I want to give a bit of a shout out to. I watched his house a couple of weeks ago. That was really good. Really well, again, really self-assured. Really good to look at. So I thought that was a really good film. And then I think a lot of people were very impressed with Andrew Patterson in The Vast of Night. I think there's a tracking shot that a lot of people I haven't seen it. There's a tracking shot.
It's really good.
Yeah,
that's a really good debut again, and its use of sound design and cinematography and editing, like it's got a lot. That's really
technically
strong,
a very very good film.
Yeah,
very good.
Jake, similar to Stars, how have our breakthrough directors fared?
This is a fairly new one. We've always done the breakthrough star. This is only the third breakthrough director award that we've done. Again, just some nobodies really that have won them in the past. 2018, Ari Aster, who I don't even think he did anything after Hereditary, to be honest. And then last year, Olivia Wilde for Booksmart. So yeah, we've had some pretty good winners.
2 women directors in a row. That's great to see.
This whole category has always been pretty strong, to be fair, especially this year. Like you could have picked anyone, and it would have been a really good result, I think.
Yeah. Right, so we'll move on. We are literally in the home stretch now. The big 5, it's the Screenplay Awards, and then it's actor, actress, director, and film. But to announce the winners for original story and adapted story, firstly, for original story presenting, we have Kelechi, who is part of the JumpCut Online team. And then we have Billy, who is part of the JumpCut Studios team. She's one of the producers there and is the director of the upcoming I Love You Guys film, which is going to be filmed at some point. It was supposed to be filmed last year, but got pushed back due to COVID.
It's happening.
But it is happening this year at some point. And Billy's here to present the award for Best Adapted Story.
Hey everyone, hope you are safe and well. My name is Kelechi Ehenyulo, writer at JumpCut Online, and I have the honor of announcing the award and winner of Best Original Story for JumpCut Online Odyssey Awards 2020. And in something that I have always wanted to say during award season, and the nominees are Spike Lee, Paul DeMeo, Danny Bilson, and Kevin Wilmot for The Five Bloods, Radha Blank for the 40-year-old version, Bong Joon-ho and Han Jun-won for Parasite, Celine Sharma for Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and last but not least, Josh Safdie, Benny Safdie, and Ronald Bronstein for Uncut Gems. And the winner is Parasite. Congratulations to Bong Joon-ho and Han Jun-won. You fully deserve this. It's fantastic. What else can be said about Parasite that hasn't already been said before, other than it is a phenomenal film, probably Bong Joon-ho's finest film to date, still relevant, especially in these times that we're living in, especially on a societal level. And for me, still the best film of 2020. So massive congratulations to the entire cast and crew of Parasite. You fully deserve every praise and critical acclaim under the sun for this phenomenal film. So great stuff. Anyway, guys, that is enough from me. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and peace out.
Billy, and I'm the director of I Love You Guys for JumpCut Studios. I've been asked to announce the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Adapted Story of 2020. So the nominees are, we've got Charlie Kaufman for I'm Thinking of Ending Things, Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit, Destin Daniel Cretton and Andrew Lanham for Just Mercy, Ruben Santiago Hudson for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Lee Wannell for The Invisible Man. Now, I have the winner here in this pot right here. So everyone just do a prayer for who they want it to be. I'm acting like I don't already know who it is. The winner is Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit. The man is truly living his best life. He has an Odyssey and an Oscar all in 1 year, so he can put that next to his Oscar on his fireplace.
Thank you, Kelechi and Billy. So, firstly, original story, which was won by our favourite, Parasite, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. Fee is absolutely nonplussed at this point. Absolute look of derision. Sick and sight of it.
I don't have derision for Parasite. It's just not like my favourite. It's fine. I don't hate it. It's fine.
I'm in exactly the same boat as you. I saw it once at the cinema. I was like, yeah, that was good. That was fine.
Remind me again quickly about the original story.
They were 40-year-old version.
Right,
Five Bloods, Portrait, and Uncut Gems were the other nominees.
Yeah, to be fair, Parasite is my least favourite of those 5. But and I voted for 40-year-old version. But it's it is an original story. You can definitely say that about it.
It's probably one of the categories I think I did vote for Parasite in. I think for me,
it is a very good story.
Yeah.
It's just the category is really strong and there's some really good stuff in there. But
like I love, I've said multiple times here already, I love Portrait, but I didn't vote for it as for Best Original Story because I don't think necessarily the story was too unique. It's not something that was completely alien and not been done before. It's just the way that it was done was just incredible. And I sort of, so for that reason, and I think I did vote for Portrait in this.
Parasite.
So, Parasite. Sorry, got Portrait
on the mind.
So I think for me here, I think this is the first time I voted for Portrait, and it's actually won. Oh no, Pants for Dan as well. Parasite. I've just got. But yeah, so I'm fine with Parasite winning here. About you, Jake?
Yeah, I think like we said, the story is brilliant. It's a very, very intricate story and a very clever story.
Like you said earlier, the way that some people maybe thought about voting it for editing, the way that the story plays out and pans out is really, really
kind of
good.
lends itself to that. And I think I'm not surprised at all that it won. I'm not surprised at all that my vote for 40-year-old version was a bit of a waste, but
I'm with you on that.
yeah, I knew that it would get 2 votes at least, and that might be it. But no, I think it's a strong category. I think we've talked about Uncut Gems in the nominations podcast, how good a story that is in terms of the writing of the dialogue and everything, especially. Portrait, as you said, is probably the weakest story in a sense, which is saying a lot because it's still brilliant. But yeah, I think out of all the awards that it's won so far, probably this is the one that I can say it makes sense that Parasite's won above everything else, probably. Sure.
Yeah. Sam, were you Uncut Gems, team Uncut Gems, were you?
I did vote Uncut Gems on this one. It's just kind of similar to what I was speaking about earlier, the editing and the location, like the Saft is the way they kind of bring their like colloquialisms and their environment into their scripts is very tangible. And I think in Uncut Gems, especially with like Sandler's very like hammy accent that he really goes for, I think that he really sells the dialogue in that film as well. That would have been my and even the story itself, like we've kind of seen like Gambler gets into bad situation many times, but the way they execute that story in Uncut Gems is really good. And I like the way they tie it into real events as well, like with the basketball game and stuff like that.
And it's definitely the most quoted screenplay, I think of the nominations. Certainly, like every day in the JumpCut chat, it gets quoted. So
I disagree. GIF gets booked. It gets dragged out at least twice a day. Every day. Whatever the latest debate and disagreement is about rankings and whatever in the JumpCut chat. For animated story, that's not a thing. For adapted story, Fia, I would assume you would be all the way back in Charlie Kaufman on this one.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think that's where my vote went as well.
Although, again, in terms of nominations, I definitely put down in my nominations, I'm thinking of Ending Things. But my 2 favourite films of last year, Kelly Gang and Shirley, were both adapted. And I think that the way they adapt their source material is absolute genius. And they're both about the nature of adaptation itself. They're both about kind of truth and fiction. And I just, both of those to me as adaptations could not be better. They're just amazing to me, like blew me away. But yeah, I'm thinking of Ending Things. Definitely would have been my choice here.
Yeah, it's so dialogue heavy. I'm thinking of Ending Things, and there's so much work gone into it by Kaufman there to make that into a film. I think I did vote for that in the end. I'm not upset at all though that Taika won. He won the Oscar as well, I believe. He won the Oscar, didn't he, for Best Adapted Screenplay for this? Yeah. I love Jojo Rabbit. Again, it was in my top 10 of the year last year. Again, it might not have been last year for Fee in the US and wherever else, but it was definitely 2020 here. But I say I'm not upset about Taika winning that at all. I believe it's the book it's adapted from is a really sort of serious World War II Nazi drama, and the way to kind of take that and then make it into what Jojo Rabbit is, I think, is a really cool and undertaking from Taika. So I've got no complaints with that one whatsoever. Sam?
I think it should have been Invisible Man.
For the same reason that they've taken a gothic Victorian novel and completely modernized it. Is Jake, what about you?
Yeah, I've got no complaints on this one, really. I'm going to be a bit positive for once. I voted for Jojo Rabbit. I think it's a brilliant film, brilliant story. Very, like you said, I think we talked about it with Reese on the nominations pod, and how Taika's injected this kind of quirkiness and humour and fun to the World War II setting, which is,
it still has its absolutely tragic moments. But to
for the
change
most part, it's very light and
to make
fun,
it something completely alien to the source material.
Yeah, I think it was really cleverly adapted in terms of, like, I think the adapted story one should always be, like, obviously thinking of ending things, like you said, has got all that dialogue and everything, which is very clever and very well done. But I always want to see the adaptations do something different, which this one has. So yeah, I'm happy with that win, I would say.
Fair enough. So we move on to the lead acting performances. Best Actress and Best Lead Actor. To present these awards, it's two people from the JumpCut team. Firstly, to present lead actress is Holly, and then to present Best Lead Actor, we have Jeff. So take it away, guys.
Hello everyone, it's Holly, and I'm here to present the Odyssey Award for Best Lead Actress. Without further ado, the nominees are Jessie Buckley for I'm Thinking of Ending Things, Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Noémie Merlan for Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Adele Inel for Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and finally Elizabeth Moss for The Invisible Man. And the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Lead Actress 2020 goes to Elizabeth Moss! Incredible! I'm extremely happy with that because I think she delivered an amazing performance in one of the best films of 2020, and I have a feeling she might not get much awards love from the big awards. So I'm glad that we were able to honour her. And what a cracking category, because every single actress in that category fully deserved it. But I'm very happy with Elizabeth Moss. And with that, I will sign off and see you next year.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Zoldi. I'm a writer at JumpCut Online, and I'm also an editor at JumpCut Play. And I am very honored today to be announcing the nominees and winner for the 2020 JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Lead Actor. The nominees are Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Delroy Lindo in Da 5 Bloods, Sean Parks in Mangrove, Jesse Plemons in I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. And the 2020 JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Lead Actor goes to Adam Sandler for Uncut Gems. Yes! It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of Uncut Gems, and Adam Sandler gives a terrific, insane, over-the-top, quintessentially New York, quintessential safeties performance. And so I'm so excited to see that he won. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy hearing the rest of the winners. Bye.
Thank you, Holly, and thank you, Jeff. So, Best Lead Actress. Like I said earlier, we are doing a good job of representing horror. Because Elizabeth Moss is the winner of Best Lead Actress, not for Shirley Theep, so for The Invisible Man. Yeah, it follows Jake again to take your stat responsibility away from you. It was Toni Collette in 2018 for Hereditary. It was Lupita Nyong'o for Us last year, and this year is Elizabeth Moss for The Invisible Man. So
real pattern.
I'm not going to lie, when these kind of because I think they did the Golden Globe Awards nominations this week and the Cyber Awards and stuff, SAG Awards, and it's just like every time it's like, where's the horror representation? Everyone was fuming that Toni Collette got snubbed, and everyone was fuming that Lupita Nyong'o got snubbed, and everyone was fuming that Elizabeth Moss got snubbed. Oh, hello. Everyone got snubbed this year. Yeah, for those not watching on YouTube, my cat just made an appearance. But yeah, so we're continuing a trend here, and Elizabeth Moss is great in The Invisible Man. Do we all agree?
Yeah,
yes, definitely. Should we move on? Is that it?
she is good in it, but I feel she's played quite a few samey roles recently. So Her Smell and Shirley and The Invisible Man, I think she's starting to, her roles are often at kind of the same pitch, which is obviously, she does that very well, that kind of desperate woman who's, you know, a bit unhinged and all of that. Like, she does it well. I just think she needs to vary her roles slightly.
She's in danger of getting typecast. Is that
yeah,
kind of a worry?
I feel like the last couple of years especially, she's done quite a lot of similar characters.
It's a fair observation. I think for me, it's the way she would have had to do so much work on screen on her own in this film, or with a man in literally like a green like onesie, like, and to have to do that, like, I think that's a really good undertaking from her. Like the kitchen scene that I think of sort of a third of the way into the film, where she's literally being thrown around the kitchen, like whether she had to do that on her own and literally throw herself around, or whether there was a man in a green suit throwing her around, we don't know. But yeah, that's, I think it was done on.
I think she had like strings attached to her and stuff from a video that I've seen. Yeah.
I just think, again, like we've said, with some of the leading breakthrough star stuff, that's such an integral role to that film. Like, she is that film, and she carries it, and she has such a great energy all the way through it. She's a really engaging character, and she portrays that really well. And she, I think she's a worthy winner for me. It's Sam, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think she's a worthy winner, especially for this film. Like Fiona just said as well about Her Smell, like that film's awesome. Like, more people need to watch Her Smell. But in this film, like I was going to say, like in regards to if it won adapted story, like she's got a lot of heavy lifting to do in The Invisible Man, and its narrative of like being really severely like gaslit, and in this kind of like Me Too era as well. It's quite a heavy film. Like, I know it was sold as almost kind of like a supernatural horror to some extent in the trailers, but it is a very heavy film thematically, and I think she's fantastic in this film.
Yeah, she is. Again, somebody that was nominated and didn't win and is a JumpCut favourite is Jessie Buckley. I love Jessie Buckley. She's literally so good in everything. I hope she goes on to have a huge career and successful career, because I think she's really talented. And as we said about the screenplay, it being so dialogue heavy, and particularly her delivery of like the poems as well, they were perfectly pitched, and again, it's just a stunning performance to be able to do that as well.
She was my choice. I love Jessie Buckley.
Yeah,
watch Beast, everyone.
Very good.
Beast is really good. I do think it was on Netflix. I don't know if it is now. I think that's where I watched it on.
I think it's somewhere. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it.
Yeah,
that's the one with Tasty Debrief Man.
It is. Yeah, for those cinema City World goers in the UK. Yeah, the Tasty Debrief Man, also known as
Johnny Flynn.
Johnny Flynn.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, the Tasty Debrief Man to the UK in our UK audience. Elizabeth Moss, as I said, carrying on the trend of horror, representing horror. That's good, and I think needs to happen more in the sort of, I want to say, the bigger film awards, but does it get any bigger than the Odyssey?
No.
And then the best lead actor, courtesy, thank you for mentioning that award, Jeff, is, can you believe I'm about to say these words, Jake? The winner of the Odyssey is Adam Sandler, who I will admit I dislike Adam Sandler. I don't dislike Adam Sandler. I dislike Adam Sandler's
His film choices are very, very just shit.
Again, Fiona will laugh at me because I struggle with comedy, widely speaking. But Sandler's comedy for me is just like so not my cup of tea whatsoever.
It's not.
And for us to be nominating him, for him to be winning this for a sort of more dramatic role as well. I just wish he'd do more stuff like this. Like, I'd watch every Adam Sandler film if he did more stuff like this, and I'd love it.
I think he works on the rule of one for them and 10 for me. He's going to go back to doing shit for a long time now.
Jack and Jill 2 in the works.
Yeah.
Sam, as our sort of the person here who's the absolute Uncut Gems went. How happy are you to see Adam Sandler pick up the award here?
Oh, I'm buzzing for him to take this role, and it's no secret at JumpCut I'm a big Sand fan anyway. So I'm happy to see him here, and like he has done roles in the past of like the dramatic capacity are really good. Like he did Funny People with Judd Apatow like in 2009. That's a really great film.
The PTA film as well.
Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, that's very good.
And he's done
Rain
3 and Rain Over Me as well. He's got these films that kind of sprinkled out for his filmography, and like admittedly, he has got some absolute trash fires like scattered out through his films. But yeah, it's really cool to see him pick up this award, and it's totally deserved because it's such a transformative performance in Uncut Gems.
I think that's the one thing about it that I was like, yeah, he deserves to win here, was like you said, the transformative nature of it compared to my sort of perception of who Adam Sandler is and what he's done previously. If you'd have said to me before watching it, right, if you'd have pitched it to me, like I've got Adam Sandler in this film and this is what this film, I'd have been like, no, mate, I'm not interested whatsoever. But yeah, he's great. Other people, this is a hugely strong category again. It's crazily strong. Delroy Lindo, who has been, I assume, forgotten about in the Golden Globes and awards and stuff that was done this week. I assume they just missed him off the list. Not even nominated there. Phenomenal performance. His final scene where he's up front into the camera. You should show that to a voting panel and be like, here's the for your recommendation clip. That's all you need to see. He's phenomenal in that film. Jesse Plemons in I'm Thinking End of Things as well. Jesse Plemons is such an underrated actor. Love him as well. Can't wait to see him in Antlers this year, which is one of the big reasons I'm excited for that film, because he's in that. And then obviously he was nominated for support earlier, but Chadwick Boseman as well in Ma Rainey. That's such a captivating performance for a film that's set in such a sort of close environment, with not a huge amount of, until like the last 20 minutes, and not a lot of huge sort of dramatic beats throughout the story, until it kicks off in the last 20 minutes. Again, it's such a captivating performance by him there, and an absolute travesty that he's shown us there how good he is. And then what happened. It's one of those performances that will stand the test of time as one of the things people always hark back to because of the nature of everything that happened around it, and just of how good it is as well. I haven't seen Mangrove, but I think people who have here, Jake, I know you have, Fiona, I think you have as well. Would say how good Sean Parks was in that as well.
Very good, very strong performance. Again, these two categories, the lead acting categories, have been ridiculously strong. Like I think these are probably the two that I took the longest to pick the winner for myself, just because there's such an argument for all 10 people. I mean, like looking back at the lead actress one, that the two portrait women didn't get it. Like for them both to be in there is mental, and then for neither of them to win just says how strong that category was. And then yeah, I think like I said, obviously Adam Sandler is not our favorite person usually, but again, that just says that's a big testament to how good this performance is, that he's nominated and won an Odyssey Award.
Is this literally the last Odyssey Awards now? That you're gonna shut it all down? I can't believe I let this happen on my watch.
Literally, like I can't remember when it was. Probably near the start of JumpCut. The website.
We had the conversation, didn't we?
Yeah. Even on the website it said, "Do not apply to write for us if you like Adam Sandler." It was that bad.
There is a stronger version.
Which was a half joke because Sam got in, but yeah, no, it's mental that he's kind of turned it around for that performance. As I say, I don't expect it to continue, but we'll see.
I'm going to manifest it to continue.
Mate, if it does, I'm buzzing. I want to see more of that. But
I think it's a match made in heaven with teaming him with the Safdies, and I think so few directors could have got that out of him. That's why I think it works so well.
He's the definition of chaotic energy.
I think I was torn between Lindo and Plemons in this category, but I don't begrudge Sandler winning. I'm fine with that choice.
Yeah. So there we have it. Adam Sandler, Odyssey Award winner. Who would have thunk it? So we are on the final 2 awards. Thank you for still listening or watching if you still are. And to present the award for Best Director, we have our very own Win. So over to you, Win.
Hello, my name is Win Le. I'm a writer for JumpCut Online, and for today, I'm also the presenter of the JumpCut Online Odyssey Award for Best Director 2020. The nominees are Bong Joon-ho, Parasite, Sam Mendes, 1917, Christopher Nolan, Tenet, the Safdie Brothers, Uncut Gems, and Celine Sciamma, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Oh, sorry, a stacked list, right? Not to mention wonderful. All the names here were capable of turning one object or one concept, peach, war, time, diamond, and drawing, into some of the wildest rides of contemporary cinema. But there's only one winner, and that person is Bong Joon-ho! 축하합니다! So to celebrate, I'll have some peach tea right here. And as for you, you have peach fuzz. Here we go. Win out.
And thank you, Win, for presenting the award for Best Director, which, to continue a theme, is, of course, Bong Joon-ho, his second award of the night, for winning the Best Original Story for Parasite as well. It was inevitable. What do we think? Deserved winner? I think if you take in the sort of social consideration of it as well, of how big a moment it was for Parasite to win Best Film and him to win Best Director at the Oscars, I think there's a huge argument to be made about him taking home that Best Director award. You can say as much as you want about how good a film it is, but yeah, that kind of his ability to have sort of smash through that ceiling, hopefully, to lead the way for lots of non-English speaking or non-American and non-British filmmakers, directors to follow in his footsteps and win major awards. I hope that's something that continues to happen. My personal vote was for Sam Mendes for 1917. I think that as an undertaking, again, as we've mentioned multiple times for multiple categories, it's just such a huge undertaking, a task of filmmaking to undertake and pull off so well. Like, to do that as well as they did is an incredible feat of directorial of filmmaking, and for that reason, Sam Mendes got my vote. Jake, where did your vote lie for Best Director?
I can't remember.
Yeah, quickly remind us who was nominated.
It was Bong Joon-ho, Sam Mendes, it was Sam's man, Christopher Nolan, it was the Safdie brothers, and it was Celine Sciamma for Portrait.
I think I voted for Sciamma, to be honest.
I think I did as well.
I think I had the conversation with you, Jakob, for Sciamma. Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying about the, like if you look at, for example, Mendes or Nolan, the undertaking that they did as a director is obviously huge. Safdie's for that kind of organized chaos that they had there is obviously very impressive as well. And then I guess the two foreign language ones with Bong and Celine, I do appreciate that their directorial responsibility probably wasn't as huge as the others. But yeah, I think like with Bong, for example, to have done what he did with that film is incredible. And I think it comes down to the intricacy of it, what I talked about before with the story as well, like to envision that story and then bring it to life in the way that he did is very impressive, like ridiculously impressive. So I can't grumble that he's won. I think he's just a nice guy as well, from what I can tell. So I could never turn around and say you don't deserve this.
He has the best smile in the world.
Yeah, he's a lovely person. So no, fair enough. I'd have liked to have seen Sciamma win. I'd have been happy with anyone, to be honest.
Again, that's a hugely strong category. That is.
Yeah, it really is.
I could have gone to any 5 of those, and I'd have been fine with it.
But yeah, no, fair play, Bong. We'll allow it.
We'll allow it.
Have another one. Why not?
Fiona, you said you were voting for Sciamma there for Best Director.
I would have been torn between Sciamma and Mendes here. I think I voted for Sukiyama. But yeah, like you say, all 5 were really strong here. Like I don't have a problem with any of them winning. Director Bong is absolutely such like a gorgeous human being in terms of like his personality. I'm going to go all LA on you for a second and say that I saw him twice. Not last year, obviously, but the year before when he was on the award circuit for Parasite with his lovely translator. And he's a bit of like an Edgar Wright type in that he's like really sort of geeky about film. He's just a massive like film fan, and he's taken a lot of influences from, you know, lots of different types of films in his work. I really love him as a director, and I have like 4 of his films above Parasite on my kind of list of his films for me personally.
Snowpiercer for me is really good.
Yeah, I love Snowpiercer, but yeah, you know, don't begrudge him this at all.
Yeah. Sam, are you just echoing what everybody else has said? A really strong category, but I assume you'd have probably gone for Mendes or Nolan.
I did vote for Nolan, but I do think that this is a worthy win, and like I think since he has won, did he win at the Oscars as well? I'm sure
he did.
Yeah, since he's won, then like. He said there's been like a big cultural kind of thing behind him, and like not just him as being a nice person and everything, but people going back to his filmography and appreciating what he's done before.
Yeah,
and I think that's really great that it's had that kind of power. And now, like every time like new films come out on Blu-ray websites, like there's like box sets of all his films and stuff now, like with loads of special features. And I think it's great that he's been honoured in such a cool way, like since he's won.
Memories of Murder is now finally available. That was like unavailable for a very long time, and that's finally come out as a result of Parasite's success.
Yeah, when I said about going forward, hopefully sort of the like Oscars and stuff will be more accepting of foreign filmmakers and foreign filmers winning their big awards. But I think also retrospectively, it will help people who have watched Parasite be like, I'm going to go out and check out some more sort of foreign films and stuff. I know last year off the back of Parasite, I watched The Handmaiden for the first time, and I love The Handmaiden. Just go watch some more foreign film. Go on.
And I think as well as the foreign language aspect of it, I think people are kind of overlooking and forgetting the fact that it was a horror film. And like we've talked about that a lot. Like horror doesn't get recognised at awards, but Parasite is a genre film, and how rare is it for a genre film to get nominated and win Oscars? That's like a massive deal, as well as it being foreign language.
Yeah. I said my personal watching habits. I watched a lot more foreign films last year than I had in previous years, and that was probably either subconsciously or consciously off the back of Parasite's win at the Oscars. But yeah, so that's best director. Go on, sorry.
In fact, no, save it a minute.
All right. Spoiler alert. We have now reached the final the final award of the night. So thank you to everybody who is still here and has been watching. I hope you've enjoyed listening to us for sort of dissect the awards as we go, and enjoyed watching all of our team and our friends from Twitter and the film world coming together to celebrate the best of 2020. But we have reached the Best Film Award, and the 5 nominations are 5 films that have appeared multiple times here. It's 1917, Parasite, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Tenet, and Uncut Gems. And I can announce that the winner of Best Film at the Odysseys, in surprise to absolutely no one, is Parasite. Of course it is.
Imagine if it wasn't, after all.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on, Jake. What were you going to say about 30 seconds ago?
No, I was just gonna say, I think Parasite, like we've already touched on, with the way that audiences are kind of going back and viewing other works in the foreign language and stuff like that. I think it can't be underestimated how much of a kind of, not just film fans are doing that, but just mainstream audiences as well have given Parasite the time. Like my brother's watched it, for example, and he doesn't watch foreign language films. People that I work with and stuff have seen Parasite, and they would never see films like that. And I think it's a testament to how popular it's been and how the awards have kind of given it that platform. And it also just goes to show how universal foreign language films actually are and can be. Like, I think people just go into these kind of films thinking this is going to be from a completely different world to what I know and want to watch. And it's clearly not the case, because Parasite's just a very fun, interesting.
People do have a subtitle phobia as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And having those capitalism themes, everyone at the moment can really relate to that. Like it's timely. Everyone can relate to that kind of the structures, societal structures that Bong's talking about in that film. It's extremely kind of a hot topic at the moment. So he's doing a lot in that film, to be fair.
Yeah, and as I said, I really do hope it's kind of like it's an opening of the gate or lowering of the drawbridge or whatever metaphor you want to use about people accessing more sort of foreign language films. As I said, I know I've done it a lot this year off the back of Parasite, and it's something I've really enjoyed and will continue to do from now on. Yeah, I think I don't have a subtitle phobia. I think I watch films generally with subtitles on quite often, even English language films. But people really do need to get over the subtitle phobia.
Literally, like after 10 minutes, you forget you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, you do
all the time. It just becomes second nature. So it's not a big deal. I think people are just wary of it going into it. But once they do it, like that's exactly what my brother was like. He was like, I can't concentrate on the two things, and he does have concentration issues, to be fair, but after watching a few foreign films, he's like, actually it's dead easy, like you just read it and watch what's happening. It's not hard at all.
I think as much as I've obviously said I love Portrait, I have no problem with Parasite winning best film here, for all the reasons we've said from an actual film point of view, and also hopefully the impact it's going to have on the film industry and film audiences and everything going forward. Sam, I assume you were voting for 1917, maybe, or what did you vote for?
Could be anything. Yeah.
What did you vote for?
Man of many tastes.
I think I did. Just all Tenet in every award. No, I think I did vote for Tenet, but again, I'm not like unhappy to see this win, and I think we've all said like kind of just how it's allowing people to kind of get more into this kind of area of film and revisiting not just his filmography, but as you've said, like you've been going back and watching Park Chan-wook's filmography as well with Handmaiden.
The Handmaiden's incredible. One of the favourite films I watched last year.
So I think
the way, like we said earlier about story structure, the way that's filmed, the story structure in that film is incredible.
I think if this is gonna like not just in the Oscars and whatever, if it allows more people to go back and be more susceptible to watching this area of film, then all the better for it, because there's so much stuff to uncover, and not just like modern day, like a lot of like action films I watch, or like John Woo and all that kind of stuff, and they're all subtitled, but they're such amazing films. Like there's so much stuff you can uncover.
One of the best films we watched last when we were doing the JumpCut charity initiative, Jake, was The Raid, and that's again a foreign language film, which I probably never would have gotten around to watching if it wasn't for that. But now,
that's another example of the foreign language aspect of it is so irrelevant.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter that it's in a different language to what you speak. Like the film is just brilliant anyway. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, so I think we are all in unison in saying the Parasite is, despite we may have favourites, but other favourites, but Parasite is a worthy winner of best film. And how many, Jake, do you have to hand how many wins that is for it this year?
7 wins this year.
7-year wins for
which
Parasite.
Is historically miles ahead of anything else we've ever had. So
really,
yeah, Whiplash in 2015 got 4. 2016 Arrival got 3. 2017 was a mental year, like everything just got 2 awards. 2018 First Man got 4. Last year was a bit weird as well. Marriage Story was the only one to win more than 1 award. That won 2 awards. So this year Parasite is absolutely
swept the board.
More than ever, yeah.
And it'll be a record that will take some beating going forward.
Will. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like me and you, Nick, knew the results before, and I think when we first saw the votes coming in and saw Parasite dominating, we were like, it's a bit annoying. Like, and then I know Fiona, you were privy to the results more recently as well, and you were kind of similar that I think it's a fair point. Like you said, we want to see a spread of those awards to different films, but
yeah,
I think throughout this show we've kind of warmed to the idea that actually for the whole package that Parasite is, maybe it does deserve to dominate that much. It is a very worthy winner of most of these awards, and it deserves all the recognition it can get.
So seven water wins. I think that'll probably be a result and a record. Sorry, that will last for a long time going forwards. But that's the exciting thing. Next year, the 2021 Odyssey Awards, something might come along and challenge the crown of Parasites. But we shall see. It's been a long show. Thank you to everybody who's still here listening or watching. It's very much appreciated. And thank you to everybody, I say, part of the JumpCut Online team who was part of the voting process, or people, sort of our partners and stuff on Twitter that were part of the voting process as well. And to everybody who presented an award as well. It was lovely to see all your beautiful faces in a world where human interaction has been very limited in the last 12 months or so. But yeah, it was good to see all your faces again. And that's it. That is the end of the Odyssey Award show for this year. It's been good. It's been a good year for film, despite this year being terrible, generally speaking. It's been a really, really strong year for film.
Definitely.
I would argue that these nominations this year for this year's were probably like the strongest batch.
I think so.
We've ever had. I would say we've had some really good films in the past, but there's, in terms of like the spread of votes and stuff, it was really strong and very tight in a lot of categories as well, which says it all.
It was. But as I said, that is it for this year. We will be back next year to do exactly the same thing all over again. As far as JumpCast is concerned, this was a special episode getting released this week, but we'll be back as normal on Monday. We have a special guest joining us very soon on an episode of JumpCast. We'll be announcing that very shortly on our Twitter, which is JumpCast_. But until then, until our next episode, all that leaves me to do is say thank you to Sam.
Thank you for having me.
That's all right. Thank you, Fiona.
Thanks.
That's all right. And thank you, Jacob.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I love doing this every year.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the next one.
Can't wait to do it next year.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.